आकार ब्रह्मवादैक स्थापको वेदपारगः। गतिर्विठ्ठलेश मतिर्विठ्ठलेश रतिर्विठ्ठलेश सदा वै ममास्तु। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नन्दस्त्वात्मजौ उत्पन्ने जाताल्लादो महामनाः आहूय विप्रान् वेदज्ञान् स्नातः शुचिरलङ्कृतः। श्री बालकृष्ण लाल की जय, श्री गोवर्धन नाथ की जय, श्री गिरिराज धरण की जय, श्याम सुंदर श्री यमुने महारानी जी की जय, श्री वल्लभाधीश की जय, श्री गुसाई जी परम दयाल की जय। श्रीमद् भागवतम स्कंद 10 Canto 10 Chapter 5 Festivities at Sri Nandaraiji's house because of Lord Krishna's incarnation at Gokul. We as humans, we love celebrations. Ages ago, even Kalidas had the same opinion. The way Western philosophers have René Descartes or Plato or Socrates, Easterners have this one very great poet who could culminate the truth in the form of a poetry. And he is known as Kavi Kulaguru, Kalidas. This very same Kalidas was a poet at a king's place. The king had his name Bhoj, Bhoj Raj. Raj refers to king, Bhoj was his name. Can intellectual human beings fight? Yes. Can they argue? Yes. Is there a winner in that argument? Could be. Does it need to have a winner? Is another question mark. Sometimes it's easier to lose and save the relation rather than win the war and lose the relation. One fine day, there was an argument between Kalidas and King Bhoj. See, it's not the first time wherein someone with power has tried to tease or tried to test someone with intellect. Anyone who's intellectual in this world will always get tested. You have to prove your process in front of people. You have to showcase your power in front of people. You have to showcase your might, your intellect in front of people. One fine day, Bhoj Raj requested Kalidas to create a verse which he would recite after the death of Bhoj Raj. The king is asking the poet to write a verse, a shloka, in Sanskrit. the same thing that he would recite once he hears the news that the king has passed away. Bhoj, while arguing with Bhojraj, Kalidas was like, I can't do this. I'm sorry. This is beyond my boundaries. This is beyond my culture. You can give me whatever punishment you want to. If you want, I'll leave your kingdom and go away, but don't make me do this. There was so much pain in Kalidas, he leaves Bhoj and goes to stay away. And Bhojraj doesn't have an idea where he's actually staying. After certain days, Bhojraj identifies that Kalidas is staying at a certain place outside the kingdom. And this time he disguises, he takes a different form. Back in the days, it was a common practice for spies and kings and various officials to change their attires, their outlook, and how they used to look. And they would go for a test run in the kingdom just to see whether the systems are in place or not. You might have seen in movies, but it was a common practice back in the days. So this time Bhojraj is in a disguise, and he happens to meet Kalidas, and he gives him a news that here's something that you need to know, that King Bhojraj has actually passed away. Kalidas is in immense pain, and he recites a verse. Adya dhara, niradhara, niralamba, saraswati, pandita, khandita, chaiva, bhojaraja, divamgate. Dhara is the name of the kingdom. Adya refers to now. Adya dhara is niradhara. What is niradhara? Someone who doesn't have any support. Niralamba Saraswati. The Saraswati also cannot rely in a place. Because Bhoj was intellectual. He had immense respect for Saraswati. Pandita Khandita. Where there is no Saraswati, Pandits cannot stay. Where there is no knowledge, Pandits cannot stay. Bhoja Raja Divam Gate. That means Bhoja Raja has actually gone to heaven. Bhoj was so much touched that he felt, oh, this is so cute, this is so nice. Kalidas has finally laid down his guard, and he's recited a verse after my death. To which he removes his disguise, and Bhoj appears in front of Kalidas. And now Kalidas is extremely happy. He's a little mad, of course. You showcase your death and then you appear all of a sudden. It's not a joke. But he took it sportingly and he recited a verse again. Adya dhara sada dhara. The kingdom of Dhara always has some support. Sada dhara. Sada lamba Saraswati. Saraswati is always going to stay here. Pandita Mandita. Mandita refers to they all unite. Because there is Saraswati, the Pandits are always going to stay. The last line that he uses, prior to that he utilized Bhoja Raja Divam Gate. Bhoja Raja Divam Gate. Now he says Bhoja Raja Iha Gate. Bhoja Raja Vapas Aa Gaye. See, this is the beauty of this language. The beauty of this language is such that if you take two Sanskrit verses in front of a boy or a girl, which will have similar meaning, but if you'll ask who's the author for it, if you'll ask them, has Ravan written this or Ram written this, they'll be able to identify and tell you whether this is by Ram or this is by Ravan. Same Ram or Ravan were respecting Shiva before the war. We all know the Shiv Tandav Sutra, which has been written by Ravan. But on the other side, even Ram had done a stuti of Shiva. We are the land of Deva Bhasha, Girvanavani, that is Sanskrit. And ages ago, when human psychology was not studied so in depth, neurology was not studied in so depth. At that time, Kavi Kalidas is stating that humans indeed love celebrations. If you talk about psychology now, they talk about the 4 chemicals that are there in you: endorphin, oxytocin, serotonin, and dopamine. Your 4 activities in the day, whichever you do, might be workout, hugging someone, spending some time on social media, or greeting some people, or addressing one is to many crowd, leads you to have some kind of an excretion of your chemical in your body, which makes you more happy. Now, despite not having these 4 chemicals, at least one thing was sure, that social functions definitely make humans happy. And we at Bharat are a land of celebration. You take from Gudi Padwa or you take from Janmashtami. If you are a Pushtimarg Vaishnav, you take from Janmashtami. After Janmashtami comes Radhashtami. Then you have Dan Ekadashi. You have Vaman Dwadashi. Your Sharad Day step in post that. Prior to that, there is Navvilas, Navratri 9 days. Sharad 5 days, you are celebrating Ras with Thakurji. Then you start preparing for Govardhan Puja. Then you have Rup Chaturdashi, Dhanatrayadashi, Vatsadvadashi, Rama Ekadashi, Diwali, New Year, Gujarati New Year, Gurjar New Year, Bhai Dooj. Then you have Dev Prabodhini. You have Tulsi Vivah. In middle, I even skipped Handola ke 28 days and Rath Yatra ke many days. But I started from Janmashtami, so they don't come yet. So after Dev Prabodhini as well, there are multiple utsavs coming by. You have Gokulnath Ji's Utsav, you have Gosai Ji's Utsav. Recently you had Bhogi Sankranti, then you had Makar Sankranti. And sometime you will have Holi. Prior to that, you will have Kunj Ekadashi. Prior to that, you will have Bagicha Nom. Or you will have Bagicha Amavas, whichever in context, whichever house you are from and how you want to serve your Lord, that depends on you. Then you have Padwa. Prior to that, you will have Srinathji Patotsav. After that as well, you will have Srinathji's Patotsav. Then your full Mandli will start. Once your full Mandli starts, your Ramchandra Ji's Utsav comes. Ramchandra Ji's Utsav is done, then your Shri Mahaprabhu Ji's Utsav. After Mahaprabhu Ji's Utsav, your entire Ushnakal starts. So your Jeshthabhishek comes in, your Nrsimha Chaturdashi comes into the picture. Prior to that, Akshay Tritiya is also there. After this entire, after Jeshthabhishek is done, the holy bath is done for the Lord. Then you enter into the zone of Snan Yatra. Then you come into the zone of Rath Yatra. Once your Rath Yatra is done, then you enter into the zone of Hindola. Every now and then, celebration is an essential aspect, at least in Pushtimarg. And if you're not a Pushtimargiya Vaishnav, let's just calculate the amount of festivals that we celebrate normally throughout a calendar year. You start from Padwa, you have Buddha Purnima, Guru Purnima, then comes your Jeshta Snan again is celebrated across certain places. You have Ashadi Ekadashi, you have Janmashtami. After Janmashtami, you also have Ganesh Chaturthi. Then you have Navratri. January, February, you will also have Shivratri. You have Diwali. And we are kind enough to also celebrate Christmas, though it's not a Hindu festival. We just want a reason to take a holiday and go out. We're very nice, we are very sweet people. Yeah. We'll celebrate 26 January, we'll celebrate 15th August. I forgot Raksha Bandhan in the middle, sorry. Sometimes this 15th August and Raksha Bandhan is always together. Somehow reducing some Hindu leaves for people to take. So if you realize that celebration is an integrated part of us, and see the beauty of it, we don't need motivation to change our clothes. We know it's celebration, we have to wear good clothes. We know so much and yet we celebrate it. In Gokul, when Shri Thakurji is taking birth in Gokul, Nandraiji and the entire people around Nandraiji are not so well learned, by the way. What's the background of Nandraiji? He's a cowherd. Gowadio. Dhenu charavto. And Vraj has them all together. Nandraiji is a Vaishya by profession. His job is agricultural and animal husbandry, primarily taking care of cows. They are not learned as you to offer a panjri or a mishri no pano or a sakateti no pano. But they understand one logic, that if Thakurji has parishram, glucose is the first thing that you need to offer. So even if it's Nrsimha Chaturdashi or Vaman Dwadashi or Ram Navami or even Janmashtami, since Thakurji has taken some efforts in order to be at a Vaishnava's house, the primary responsibility of a Vaishnava is to offer a sweet, and that's a pano. So you take glucose, you take sugar, and you take, if not sugar, if you take the fruit itself and you liquefy it. Now all your stalwarts of diets while you play tennis or sports, the first thing they ask you to do is either have lemon so that your toxins get out, and have natural format of sugar so that you don't have to take carbonated sugar in any format. વર્કઆઉટ કરીને આવો, તમને પહેલાં પ્રોટીન ન જોઈએ, પહેલાં ગ્લુકોઝ જોઈએ. અને એના માટે ડાયટિશિયન ન થવું પડે. ભગવાનના ભક્ત થાવ તો એ સમજાવી દે. We are in a land of celebrations, and Nandraiji is celebrating something called as an utsav. Now what's this utsav? Yeah, we say aaj ghare utsav chhe. It's a very fashionable term these days, but what is this utsav all about? You leave your senses behind and the bliss in you is aligned with Thakurji. That's when an utsav is established. How you are very happy when you have a ring ceremony of your dear child at your house, or there's a get-together of your family members because of some anniversary, let's say. Or maybe a newborn has taken place in your house. Or maybe someone is getting married at your house. These are all happy moments. You feel more energetic, you feel more vibrant. You don't care about eating food, you care about smiling, you care about laughing, you care about being positive, you care about being energetic, you care about being welcoming. But then there are two segments of society. One segment of society will forget Thakurji and enjoy it to the most. And now the other segment of society is the one who will understand that Thakurji is a priority and will celebrate along with him. If you consider your Bhagwan as your family member, we celebrate 2 birthdays, right? Or we celebrate 1 birthday. Technically, we should celebrate 2 birthdays. One as per your Georgian calendar, your British calendar, your foreign calendar, which is for your friends and family. And then comes the Hindu calendar, the Indian calendar birthday, which is for your soul and your Sorka Malik, your source. Do you all know why Christians cut cake? You have any idea why do they cut cake? They cut cake because they're celebrating their time on earth as hell. On this hell, we ensured that our one more year has passed. That's why cake is being cut. Don't believe me? No problem, go and read Bible. Don't believe me? It's okay. You don't need to. Am I against cake cutting? No. Am I against applying that cake on your face? No. But I want you to understand the logic behind cutting a cake. You cut a cake out of love and affection, it's a different ballpark. But where have we taken that culture from? You need to understand the source behind it as well. Second thing, we blow candles. On one side, we say Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya. May the noble light guide us through the darkness. Or from darkness, we go to light. So while we're burning candles, the same light which is supposed to guide us in the darkness, we blow them out. As much as we're trying to adapt the Western culture in us, as I said, cake cutting, fine. But do you really need to blow the candles off? Do you really need to blow those 26 or 52 or 88 numbers with the lights on it? Just see not from a celebratory standpoint, see from a transcendental standpoint as well, that on one side we are that culture, even in an annual general meeting of a company, if we are the one who light a lamp for a commercial purpose, who are we to actually blow that lamp off for our personal reasons? No one's stopping you from celebrating. Streamline your celebrations. And we need to take some inspiration from the celebration that took place back in the days. So Nandaraj ji is ensuring that tell me one thing. When a baby is born at your house, whom would you call first? Inform, yeah, of course. Father to bichara bahar jo hai na. I'm assuming that the father is there at the time of the delivery. Until and unless has some other business to take care of. Until and unless has some other business to take care of. You inform grandparents, okay? Hey, my friend is here. He was so cute yesterday. I got some good snaps with him yesterday. I'm feeling so lucky. Hi, Ridan. Wow, he's worn a dhoti today. How sweet. Utsav is a place where your bliss is being expressed. And Sri Nandaraj ji is somehow engaging himself in 7 forms of utsavas over here. Now the answer to my question is, apart from you calling your family members first, there's a standalone practice to call your Brahmins of the house. Reason being, once the baby is born, there's a sanskar that needs to be performed, which is by the name of Jata Karma. And who will help you perform this Jata Karma Sanskar? You will need Brahmins for this. Our entire lifestyle is around Vedic lifestyle. Veda provides us with Vidya. And hence Vidya Utsav is something that is being performed first. How is that being performed? Just to make your life easy. This is the translation of the first verse. Nandastvatmajotpanne jata lado mahamanaha ahuya vipran veda gnyan, veda gnyan, veda gnyan. Snataha shuchiralankrita. So what is Nandraji doing? First things first, the minute Nandraji has become a father, he has become magnanimous. He has a big mind, big heart now. When you are in celebration, you don't bother about clothes, you don't bother about food, you bother about celebrating, you bother about expressing. You are engaged in sharing your happiness with the right kind of people. Please note, I'm using the word right kind of people. And why am I using the word right kind of people? Maybe from 45 minutes from now, you'll understand what is the segment of right kind of people I'm talking about. I could have explained all of these things yesterday. Well, I'm a guy who likes to bring Lord twice. Once in Mathura and the second time in Gokul. कल वाले जो आए वो धर्म स्वरूप वाले मथुरा के थे. आज के जो आए वो धर्मी स्वरूप वाले गोकुल के हैं. The Pushtimarg thought process is that Shri Thakurji is born twice. Once in Mathura, which has been prayed by Devki and Vasudev. And the second time in Gokul. Once the Swarup from Mathura comes to Gokul, it's one. And we might feel bad that the girl died. But look at the sacrifice of the lady. She's Yog Maya. She did her duty towards the Lord, and the Lord blessed her that you will have 8 hands. Ashtabhuja. In Kali Yuga, people will remember you. That's why we, for all those people who believe in Garba, you sing na, Kadi re Kalyani re ma, jya jo tyan jog maya. Tu Shankar gher padharani re ma. So this is the sweet affiliation between the gods. Because Bhagavan ni ichha hai, because the Lord wanted to happen that way. Now I have a small technical question. See, I'm going to take time. I'm going to talk about Bhagavan Shri Krishna's birth for a long time. Because without this, my heart won't feel good. Katha જેની કરી રહ્યા છે એનો જન્મ તો જાણો. How much do we want to revolve around Paritrāṇāya sadhunam vināṣāya ca duṣkritam? He'll do that thing later on. He'll kill how many people he's supposed to. Well, right now, let's enjoy the blissful moment of his birth. And the deepest meanings of Shrimad Bhagwatam over here. So my question is, if you might have read the translation yesterday of the first verse or the last verse of the 8 verses that were there during the birth of Shri Thakurji at that given point of time. My question to you is, does Thakurji really need to take birth? It's a little intellectual thing, and let me tell you one thing. I'm going to be taunted for raising this topic. I'm telling you in advance. But I still want to raise this topic. Does Thakurji need to take birth? See, first things first, Bhagwan is Ajanma. Someone who doesn't need birth. And this is exactly what was mentioned yesterday. Ajanmana janmano samay naji kavyo. Someone who doesn't need to be born, yet his birth time is coming closer. So that's the first thing. Someone who doesn't need to take birth. And yet, Shri Shukdevji Maharaj is saying, Nandas Tvatmaja Utpanne. Utpanne refers to takes birth. So Shukdevji Maharaj doesn't know that the Lord doesn't need to take birth. Let me tell you something about Shukdevji, which I didn't tell you on day 1 and day 2. The way Vyas Maharshi is an avatar of Vishnu, Shukdevji is an avatar of Shiva. Now, someone who's an avatar of Shiva, I'm sure he has an idea that Lord doesn't need to take a birth. Then why is still Shri Shuka mentioning that Atmaj has been born? Utpanna. This is a question which will arise when you start studying Shrimad Bhagwatam. 18,000 verses, when you start studying them, this is one question that will arise in your mind. And to which you need answers from Subodhini. You need answers from the commentaries that have been written by Sri Mahaprabhuji. And how will those answers appear? See, look at the beauty of explanation. The explanation goes like this. Shri Shukdevji Maharaj, despite mentioning that the Lord is taking the birth, he is not giving his opinion. He is trying to explain you what is in the mind of Nandraiji. According to Nandraiji, a baby has been born. According to Shukdevji, a baby has not been born. This is only possible when you go deep dive and try to understand Bhagwatam. No translation in the world will ever explain you this. Translations in the world will tell you, Utpanne refers to taking birth. So Lord has taken a birth. But over here, Shri Shukdevji Maharaj is trying to explain you the mindset of Nandraiji. Nandraiji has thought that Lord has taken a birth, and that's why that has been mentioned over here. And don't worry, this is the most toughest element which I'm going to speak about today. After this, entire katha is going to be simple. So for all those people who are sleepy for the last 5 minutes, it's absolutely okay. The toughest part of the katha is done. See, talking about the higher purpose and digesting that higher purpose are two different things. Two separate conversations altogether. When two friends try to have a Pani Puri competition, they try to understand and expand their capacity. Once they reach their peak is when they realize I can't have it further. But it's not the challenge which is taking place through a verbal combat. It's actually when they go on a ground and have Pani Puris is when they realize what's their might. Similarly, talking about the higher purpose and actually living that higher purpose are two different things. And this is what the higher purpose is all about. And who won't be happy after the birth of a baby? It's your DNA coming back. It's a DNA which has been born. Till that extent that when a son is born, when a baby is born, it is said the father is reincarnated. So what are you supposed to do after a baby is born? You're supposed to take a bath. The same activity is also done when someone passes away. This is Mangal Snan, that is Amangal Snan. This is the auspicious bath, that is the inauspicious bath. Now, materialistically, you feel you are clean. No questions asked, you're clean, obviously. But this bath is of happiness. It's like an entry point of celebration. You take a bath so that you can now engage in the activities which will be prescribed by the Brahmins. And after taking a bath, you are supposed to dress properly. No chaddi. Proper clothes. Not the ones that we wear in Mangla in front of Nathdwara, in Thakurji. The only time when you are supposed to wear bad clothes is Deshuddhi. Because those clothes are going to be discarded. Je tam log puja kari Deshuddhi nahi. Means you can wear good clothes as well and discard them. We don't have an issue. No, it's bad as in means not. I mean, I don't mean worse, which will turn out to be something else altogether, but something that you wouldn't want to wear ahead in future. I mean, you've done them. So 5-6 बार पहन ली, अब नहीं पहननी types. It's a transition. If you see now, Shastra allows you to disconnect with your past life so many times. Deshuddhi, if you go and see, what is it? It's a transition phase wherein all the consumption that you have done, toxic, non-toxic, in terms of thought, in terms of food, you are not just doing deha, external body shuddhi, you are also doing intrinsic shuddhi at the same time. And that's when you are getting the adhikar of doing a Bhagavad Pujan. So yeah, you dress you dress beautifully. You look handsome. You wear ornaments. Surely wear ornaments. And then Sri Nandrai Ji is inviting whom? He is inviting Brahman. Veda Gnan, someone who is learned to Vedas. And what do these Brahmins do? Vachayitva swastyayanam. Since we have a group of 5 Brahmins over here, these are not some randomly studied Brahmins, they've studied at universities. They've dedicated some good 10 to 16 years of their life in studying the Vedic scriptures and mastering their own field. Some is a master in grammar, someone is master in Karmakand, someone is a master in Shastra, someone is master in Vedic rituals per se, or in Vedas per se. So since we have their auspicious presence, we'll request them to have a Swasti Vachan over here in the remembrance of that Lord who has taken birth yesterday and today. तुम्हारा बैग मत ले लो. Never get free stuff from Brahmins. Never, ever. Reason being, when you get a puja done from them, they transfer all the punya to you. And that punya needs to be compensated against something. It's a give and take of energy at the end of the day. That's why you give them dakshina. So there are Vedic rhymes that have been recited as soon as the Lord is born. The Vedic recitation, Vedic chanting has enough importance. It can impact till that extent that if you start getting acquainted to Vedic chanting at an early age, it can expand your memory. Not just expand your memory, reduction of stress, giving you immense power. It gives you hope. It makes you calm. Apart from that, if you get the right kind of meaning to it as well, it starts giving you more amount of knowledge as well. Because Veda is wisdom at the end of the day. It comes from a dhatu called Vid. And this same Vid is also being utilized in Vidya. See, on one side, no one is stopping you from celebrating things. Please have celebrations. Homecoming of the baby, decorating of the house. All of these things are part and parcel of our life. Just try to understand it from a spiritual side as well. As much as there's beauty in having decoration done in the house by a decorator doing it for you, it also needs to invoke some meaning in it. And the meaning is something that we're going to explore for the next half an hour. So the Jata Karma is a sanskar which is being organized as soon as the baby is here. How is it done? It's done in a particular format, and that is why Shastra is saying a word called as Vidhivat. There are certain rules and regulations that need to be followed. While a baby is born in the family, you also remember your ancestors. There was a very strong research done by one of the very top leaders in South. And a very logical statement made by him was, for you to take birth, how many of your forefathers would have taken mehnat? How much efforts would have been taken by your forefathers or your ancestors just to have you over here? That's why we do something called as Pitru Deva Archanam. Pitru and Deva Archanam. Archanam means to offer. So Pitru are your ancestors, Deva are your Devtas. So that's how in the first two verses, knowledge, Vidya, Veda, that Utsav has been taken care of. The next Utsav that comes is Dano Utsav, donation, charity. Now for people who might know, they might know. But question is, how many cows did Nandraiji have? It's like me asking how much wealth does Mukesh Ambani have. As simple as that. The same question I'm repeating. The only context over here is Nandrai ji, how much wealth does he have? How many cows does he have? We are in an auction, ladies and gentlemen. I'm expecting some bids from you. More than 100. 100,000 crores. Okay. Be lakh. 70 lakhs. How many? I wish they were. Someone, you said it. You got the number right. Tell me. 72 crores. 72 crores. Bharat no half population. 140 crores is what we are. 142. Yeah. We beat China. Congratulations. Something that was projected for 2030. Bharat humko jaan se pyara hai. We did it way earlier. We are 7 years early for this. Along with being one of the fastest economy in the world, we are also fastly multiplying country across the globe as well. So yeah, 72 crore cows, not a small number. Now, if I tell you to donate 100% of your wealth, will you be able to do it? The owner of Subway donated his 50% of his wealth, 50% of his stake in Subway as charity. Just happened yesterday. Subway, the chain. The late founder, not even that he was alive, he's passed away. And 50% of his ownership has been now given to charity. So what should be the ideal figure to donate when the baby is born? You tell me. At least 10%. Nice. 7 crore. Saras. Dhapkara basically. He might feel so, oh God, I have to give so much money. This is the cost of his wedding. 1 month of profit. And loss out of mahina I to pati ya. You will deal with the Bhagwan as well over that given point of time. How do we do? How do we decide? Tell me. Relax. Shastra has given a simple solution for this. Whatever wealth you have, divide it by 3,600. Now, you are great at mathematics, you come from business families. Please help me divide this. 72 crore divided by 3,600. $72 crore divided by 3,600. Should I remove 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0? Answer is 2 lakhs. How many cows is Nandaiji giving as donation? 2 lakhs. Now are we on a good deal or no? 3,600 part is okay, na? But that is also too much. Of 72 crore he's not even giving 1%, yeah. That's a good question. That's a very good question. How many years are we supposed to technically live? 100? Technically પૂછ્યું છે યાર ઓન પેપર તમને એવરેજ ગાડીની એવરેજ પેપર પર કેટલું આપે તમને ક્લિયર ટેકનિકલ કીધું મેં યાર ઉતરા તો भी कोऑपरेट करो मेरे साथ 100 how many days are there in a year multiply them 36,000. Now the calculation is, in this 36,000 days, there are 10 days which become Ashuddha. These 10 days of Ashuddhi are something that you utilize as Pindru. As per the calculation, I'll explain it to you. For every, if you divide the 100 years, for every 3,600 bhag, there are 10 days. Is the calculation. And in the entire 100 years, there are first 10 days which are considered to be Ashuddha. The first 10 days, which go for Pindru. Yeah. So that Pindru ka 10 days divides your 36,000. Birth of the baby. Your baby. Nandrai ji no baby na? हाँ तो of course बाकी ना babies માટે accordingly એવી રીતે વધે. I'll simplify it for you. 36,000 days, 10 Ashuddhi days, 36,000 divided by 10, 3,600. છત્રીસોમાં દિવસે એક દિવસ ખરાબ આવે, એ 10 દિવસ એક સાથે લઈ લો, એટલે શાસ્ત્રે કીધું કે 3,600 થી ડિવાઈડ કરી લેવાનું. PhD ભણો છો તમે બધા હમણાં? You studying PhD right now with me. This is what all is PhD. This is also Bodhiniji. Same process repeats. Whatever is your wealth then, 3,600 then. Same process. Asha, you think Nandrai ji might have only given cows? Nandrai ji have decorated these cows with cloth and jewels. He also gave them 7 hills of grain, and in that grain precisely tal. Why tal? I'll tell you. So externally there are tal, internally there are jewels. Jewel, panna, hira, manek, etc. Whatever, dhatu. And the cloth has gold embroidery in it. Sona no tar, any embroidery. Jardosi. Now why cloth, why cows, why tal, why vastra, why suvarna, and why brahmin? આ છએમાં 33 દેવતાઓનો વાસ છે. 33 types of God reside in all these 6 elements. Devam bhutva devam yajet. You offer godly things to the God. Bhudeva, Brahmanya Deva. You are offering him these things. Yeah, primarily. Brihaspati, Vasu, Indra, all of them, they are. Now let's talk about purification. What happens when we talk about purification? Yesterday, actually prior to these days, we've been talking about cleanliness and purity. Now I'll give you a simple example. When you have a glass of water, you touch it with your mouth. You put the glass back. Are your hands clean? They might be clean, but are they pure? This is something that we need to keep in mind. The same logic applies to we utilizing a spoon, we utilizing a fork, we utilizing a cutter. Anything that touches our lips, the internal part of it where there's saliva, eventually turns out to be impure. One of the other reasons why, even when you come to do puja, these Brahmins have a sanitizer in their hand, they ask you to keep on washing hands. Second time, when you're feeding the Lord. Oh, by the way, I appreciate Chaitanya ji that you do all the mudras correctly. So that's sweet of you. So when you're feeding the Lord, as well, you're feeding. There's no physical action there per se. Eh? The Lord is not partaking food directly. But the action itself is making you feed someone. And when you feed someone, saliva comes out. There's touching of someone's lips over there. You still end up cleaning your hands. Washing your hands, to be precise. Similar thing happens when you touch your feet. Till that extent that if we touch someone else's feet as well, we are supposed to wash hands. So clean may not be pure, but pure can be clean. Now you might wonder, what if but when I go outside in the market and the florist, they are having a tea and they are giving me fruits or they're giving me flowers, what am I supposed to do with them? Shastra has this understanding that there could be a possibility that someone might have mishandled those before they come to you for final utilization. All you're supposed to do is take some water, sprinkle on it. And that's the shuddhi. That's the process of purifying those fruits or vegetables or flowers. Why jute bags were a part of our lifestyle? We went to Nathdwara, we want to take some samagri, not prasad, two different pointers. You go to Vitthalesh Bhandar for attar. It's a samagri, that is something that you're supposed to offer to the Lord. It doesn't come in a plastic bag, it technically should be coming in a jute bag. Because jute doesn't attract impurities. Kantan. That's why a lot of Bhatia families back in the days, their ancestors used to wear shoes made out of jute. Kantanni Paudi is what they used to say. Symbolic in the sense that any impurities are there that go away. Yeah, symbolically. We don't know now whether someone has touched it inappropriately or appropriately. But it's our duty to make it pure. And how you're supposed to do? Sprinkle on it. Simple. That's exactly what Brahmins do. Na? Apavitra pavitrova sarva avasthanagato piva. And they make you sprinkle on other elements as well, which are going to be utilized in the puja. How do you clean your inner body? You do shauch. How do you clean your external body? You take a bath. How do you take care of bhumi? The cleansing part of it, you might remove the dust, but actually it's the vayu that purifies the bhumi. How do you purify your mind? Tapa. Tapathi antakaran shuddha thai. So your mind, your intellect, your ego and your conscience. All four of them. But now you are supposed to clean your tan, man and dhan. Tana, your body, your mana, your mind, your dhana, that's your money. How do you clean them together? Yagna. Yagna purifies them. How do we purify wealth? Wealth alone. Donation. But what if you don't have much money? How? Let's just say you're foot to mouth. Prior to that, prior to service, satisfaction. Santosh makes your dravya purified. See, we all have been through COVID days, right? At that time, earning profit was not our concern. Having safeguarded our own wealth was a major priority. A lot of us were living on our savings. Why? Because the rolling had stopped. So in such a case and scenario, when people have very less money or very little money, they are not going to do donations. So for them, the Shastra has been flexible enough to say that if you are satisfied, your wealth becomes purified. How does the jal become Shuddha? As much as you talk about filtration, Gange cha Yamune chaiva Godavari Saraswati. Pushkaradidi Tirthani. How do we purify a vessel? We need to heat it. So let's just say you are wearing a gold necklace and you want to offer it to Thakurji. You need to first melt it down completely and get a new one made out of it. Then you can't wear it, only Thakurji can wear it. But the last question, how do we purify our soul? It's a very interesting question, my friends. It's a very interesting question. How do we purify our soul? We think soul is pure. Shastra is giving a little different perspective. Since the time the soul has become a part of this body, there are some impurities that the soul also faces. How do you purify that? Okay, I think your answer was pretty there. By going up, okay, fair. But what if you want to stay here and still purify it? There's a common saying now, your second life starts when you realize you only have one. When you start understanding more about yourself, you need to understand that you are in the path of purification of your soul. When the questions about who am I, where am I from, who's my source, what am I here for, what's the purpose, what are the various kinds of soul, how they transform bodies. When you start becoming inquisitive about how this little thing of yours which is making you conscious got inside of this body, is when you need to realize that the purification process of yours has started. Atma Vidya, the science of knowing yourself. That's the path of purification of your own soul. પછી જ્યાં જવું હોય જાઓ. ભગવાનના ચરણે જાઓ, ભગવાનના શરણે જાઓ, ભગવાનના ધામમાં જાઓ. You go in the lotus feet of Lord, you go in front of Lord, or you be in the same loka as the Lord is. The next in line is the third Utsav, which is called the Bhumi Sanskar Utsav. You all sing that? चौक पुराओ, माटी रंगाओ, आज मेरे प्रभु घर आएंगे, खबर सुनाओ जो, खुशी रे बंधाओ जो, हेरी सखी मंगल गाओ वरी, धरती अंबर सजाओ वरी. What is this चौक पुराओ? Kailash Kher singing some random song. What is the चौक पुराओ concept? ઘરનો આંગણ સજાવવાનું is called ચોક પુરાવો. Haldi. Haldi is being utilized. So the first day when I entered and I saw so many flowers, my heart was like, oh wow, this is so nice. You could actually see Chok Purao over here. Bhumi also requires sanskar. So how are you supposed to decorate the earth? How are you supposed to decorate the land? What all needs to be offered? And this is where Pushti Kirtan Sahitya comes into the picture. In Pushti Kirtan Sahitya, the Kirtankars have written Dwaja, Pataka, Toran, Mala. This is the translation, the 6th verse that they talk about. Varieties of flower garlands, pieces of cloth, mango leaves. Garib. And the rich words that have been utilized by Sanskrit are Dwaja, Pataka, Toran, Mala. Now, why do you think this Dwaja, Pataka, Toran, Mala matters to you? Just take an example of take an example of a birthday party that might have been organized at your house. Okay? You might have seen that happy birthday written in paper or in balloons. Yeah? Then across there are glitter-based hangings. This entire concept was there even 5,000 years ago when Bhagwan Shri Krishna came down. The only difference was we might not have balloons, but we had Dwaja. Now what is the Dwaja? Dwaja is something which is made out of the cloth and has Garudji in it. Pataka is the one which has swastik in it. Toran is something which is made out of the cloth. No. Mala is something which is made out of the flowers. And there's one more which is called Pallav. Pallav is made out of the leaves of various trees. આપણે કહીએ આંબાની માળા, it's આંબાનો પલ્લવ. આંબાના પાનનો પલ્લવ. આંબાનું તોરણને, the right word is pallav. See, this is Mahaprabhuji. This is why you need Mahaprabhuji. The truest essence of a celebration, garland કહીને છોડી દીધું. This is why you need Mahaprabhuji to explain you the 5 words. Dwaja, Pataka, Toran, Mala, Pallav. Dwaja is the one that has Garud. Pataka is the word that has Jaya or Swastik. Toran is something which is made out of cloth. Mala is something which is made out of the flowers. And Pallav is something that has been made out of leaves. And what happens when you house, if you have an ancestral home in your place, you might be from Mandvi or Mundra, wherever you might be from. All I'm trying to say is, when you have an ancestral home, back in the days, they used to sprinkle water outside the house. That exactly has been mentioned over here, washed with water. Apart from decorating the house, you also decorate your wealth. And what's your biggest wealth over here? the cows. Comes the next Utsav, which is called the Goshrungar, the decoration of the cows. Who have been decorated? The cows, the bulls, the calves, everyone. What have they been smeared with? A mixture of turmeric and oil, which is called geru. No, not geru. What is it called? No, what you were talking. Ridra Taila Rushita. Fair. So you might have gone to Srinathji during the days of Govardhan Puja. And you might have seen a lot of cows being decorated. Or during Janmashtami as well, the cows are being decorated. Or during Gopashtami as well, the cows are being decorated. It's done in the same format. That's why you might see some chinhas like hands on it, or you might see Navneet Priyaji on it, or you might see Shriji on it, or sometimes you might see some peacock on it, etc. etc. And not just that, they also have peacock feathers. Even they have been offered with garlands and cloth. And not just that, even these cows have gold ornaments. Kanchana malina. Kanchan refers to gold again. So the first one was the celebration of knowledge, the Utsav of knowledge. What is the second one? The Utsav of donation, Danotsav. Third one was Bhumi Sanskar, the Utsav of the land. The fourth one is Utsav of the cows. And then comes, in one verse, Utsav of the Gopa. Cow herds. But I won't be using cow herd. Please get habituated with the word called Gopa. On the day of Janmashtami, let's just say if, on the day of Janmashtami or Nand Mahotsav, let's just say if we are supposed to go to a temple, આપણે હવેલીએ જવાનું હોય, what kind of clothes should we wear? What kind of clothes should we wear? Colors, I'll understand. You'll wear yellow, yellow, orange, kesari, red at the max. I'm sure no one is going to go in black, right? I hope. Thank you. The definition given by Shastra is Amulyani. Amulyani refers to not the one that doesn't have a value. Something invaluable needs to be worn that day. And should you be only wearing clothes? No. You should also be adorning ornaments and going. Your clothes, as much as people talk about image consultancy and the kind of clothes that you wear, the kind of colors that you wear shows the kind of personality that you are, has an impact on the other person's side. Like for example, there's an entire science in branding, why certain brands choose a certain segment of colors. Like Starbucks is green in color because it always shows freshness. All your food chains majorly have a red in color. You take Pizza Hut or you take McDonald's or you take KFC. They always have red in color. It marks emergency and urgency, and at the same time, it also invokes hunger in the eyes of people. Similarly, Pushtimarg has its own science as well behind colors. On certain days, it will ask you to wear amrasi. Now, that is not yellow, that is not orange. It's middle, amrasi. On certain days, it will ask you to wear kesari. On certain days, it will ask you to wear pure yellow. And before any Utsav, they'll always be red. You take up any Srinathji's pranali. Before Janmashtami, Saptami, red. Before Diwali, Kali Chaturdashi, Roop Chaturdashi, which color? Red. Before Gusai Ji's Utsav, red. Before Mahaprabhu Ji's Utsav, red. Before Radhashtami. Why red? Because red embarks love. Red embarks affection. It represents affection. And it's a side that next day is going to be an Utsav. And there are certain days which are red. Like Thakrani Trich. It's a combination of red. You take Kasumba Chhat. Now Kasumba itself is a different format of red, by the way, just to tell you in advance. Some people are saying, might be wondering, why is he only talking to Rita Auntie today? Why is he not talking to us? Me and Rita Auntie had a conversation today. For the first half, now I'm going to teach her certain things out of the Katha. So please don't feel otherwise. The Katha is for everyone. The kind of clothes that you wear reflect your self-image. And on the day of Nanda Mahotsav, you are not supposed to be worried about mane makhan lagi gayu to. Your opening of champagne bottles is nothing in front of the doodh and the makhan which is being thrown at people on the day of Janmashtami and Nanda Mahotsav. Nothing. You can spend millions on champagnes and you will feel like, what the hell is this? But you go to Nahdwara and get yellow. Yellow is the color that you're looking out for that day. If we wear a certain segment of clothes, we behave in a certain way. Like observe yourself in night dress and observe yourself in office clothes. You'll find energy in which one you can answer that question by yourself. It creates a mood, it creates a mindset altogether. Now see, Shukdev Ji Maharaj is very sensible because it takes a lot of time for ladies to get ready. One verse was given for male, 3 verses were given for female. The next Utsav that comes is for the Gopis. Gopi Krutotsav. Now, how do you get to know whether the Lord has taken birth? We are fortunate enough to have Facebook and Instagram for announcements. But back in the days, the news could only travel to ears. And since the Gopis heard about that the Lord has taken birth at the house of Nanda and Yashoda, the first thing that they do is they wear earrings. Because it's due to these ears we got to know that the Lord has taken birth. આપણે ઇયરિંગ્સ છેલ્લે પહેરીએ, બધું પહેરાઈ ગયું એના પછી. મેચિંગ રાખેલી હોય, માળા પહેરા પહેલે ઇયરિંગ્સ પછી પહેરે, પછી અંજન કરીએ. This is what my observation of interaction with the girls has been till this date. I could be wrong. But here the gopis do it reversely. They get their earrings in place first. And by the way, now dominance of Nandrai Ji is gone. If you will read these verses, it says Yashodayaha Sutodbhavam. Look at the translation. Here that mother Yashoda had given birth to a son. Suta refers to a boy, a son. Suta refers to a girl. And look, it has been mentioned over there. Black ointment for the eyes. Anjan. Najaran lage mara Shyama Sundarana. You might have heard of Mehndi. Mehndi of Hina. But over here, Nava Kumkum has been utilized. You might have seen certain gopis having hands which are red in color. Those are not because of Mehndi. Those are actually because of Kumkum. Because Kumkum is considered to be auspicious. One day when someone was fighting with me, why can only men apply tilak? Why can't women apply tilak? Bhai, why are you so aggressive? We are applying tilak with the bhavna of Thakurji. You are applying tilak with the bhavna of Swaminiji. Tell me which one's better. You're fighting that you can't do the U, but you've got the centric one which is circular in nature. You are applying on behalf of Shri Swaminiji, Shri Radhikaji. My Lord is mad behind Radhikaji, Swaminiji. Now you decide, should you be fighting with me on such a point or not? Tikki, Bindi versus the Tilak. ISKCONites are the one who do that format of Tilak. Pushtimarg Vaishnavas don't. The U or V is restricted to men. And the circular format of Bindi is restricted to women. Simple. But both the mudras eventually mean the same thing. And how is this kumkum? This kumkum also has saffron in it. Kesar Vadu kumkum cha. Such was the beauty of the gopis. The minute they see the Lord, they start giving him blessings. Ta ashisha prayunjana. And they were spraying the water which was mixed with turmeric powder, oil. And they were offering their prayers. There's a very beautiful kirtan which has been sung by Pandit Jasraj. Rani Tero Chirajiyo Gopal. Chirajiyo Gopal, Rani Tero. And while these festivities are moving on, why should the musical instruments be also left out? And that concludes the 7th format of Utsav, which is called Vadintra Vadinotsav. I'm sure most of you in the crowd might have never heard about a Krushna Janma like this before. You might have only heard about the things that might have taken place until Kansa's arena. And now the site has been flipped because now Lord is in Gokul. And you might have never heard about an elaborated format, or very limited people might have heard of an elaborated format of a Nanda Mahotsav which is happening right now. Because let me tell you one thing, the minute you go to Srinathji, Kakroli, anywhere in the universe, any Pushtimarg, house or Haveli for a matter of fact, the most important Utsav is Janmashtami, because that's when the Seva starts. And the Nand Mahotsav follows the next day, morning. First thing that happens after we all are awake is the Utsav. Lord is in the cradle. Palnama Jhule che Thakurji. So all your various formats of musical instruments are being played over here. There are so many musical instruments. Multiple categories, multiple types, multiple formats, multiple combinations have been there. And what are these gops and gopis doing to each other? These gops and gopis are finally applying mixture of curd, milk, butter and water. They are throwing at each other, they are applying it on each other's faces. Dadikshira dhrutambuvi. Asinchanto vilimpanto. Navanitaisha. So when you cut a cake at 12 o'clock at night and you take that cake and start smashing in front of people, on other people's faces, it's not a new concept. It's 5,000 year old concept, which was also being practiced by gopis back in the days. The only difference is you're not the single person who's going through it. The entire family and all the surrounded people we're doing it in 2 minutes. So all the people are now engaged into applying of harada, dadhi, kumkum, akshat. They are applying milk, they are applying curd, they are applying butter, they are applying all of these things, and eventually they start engaging into something called as Ananda Mahotsav. Mahan Utsava iti uktaha. And that's when they start singing, Heri he, bhaiya ho, aaj Ananda Rai ke Anand bhayo. So something that we initiated yesterday, we'll also get assembled considering this place as Gokul. We'll make this Nandrai Ji's house, and we'll also try to extol that Lord who has taken birth at Shri Nandrai Ji's house by singing Nandagera Nand Bhayo, Nandagera Nand Bhayo, Nandagera Nand Bhayo, Yashoda ko Lal Bhayo, Yashoda ko Lal Bhayo, Nand Ghera Nand Bhayo, Nand Ghera Nand Bhayo, Hathi dine ghoda dine, Hathi dine ghoda dine, Nand Ghera Nand Bhayo, E Hathi dine ghoda dine, Yashoda ko Lal Bhayo, Yashoda ko Lal Bhayo, Nand Ghera Nand Bhayo, Nand Ghera Nand Bhayo, दाऊ जी को भाव भयो, दाऊ जी को भ्राता भयो, नंद घेरा नंद भयो, व्रज में आनंद भयो, हाथी दिने घोड़ा दिने, हाथी दिने घोड़ा दिने, नंद घेरा नंद भयो, नंद घेरा नंद भयो, नंद घेरा नंद भयो, यशोदा को लाल भयो, यशोदा को लालो भयो, नंद घेरा नंद भयो, अरे हाथी दीने घोड़ा दीने, हाथी दीने घोड़ा दीने, ए यशोदा को लाल भयो, यशोदा को लाल भयो, हाथी दीने घोड़ा दीने, ए हाथी दीने घोड़ा दीने, ए यशोदा को लाल भयो, ए हाथी दीने घोड़ा दीने, हाथी दीने घोड़ा दीने, ए यशोदा को लाल भयो, यशोदा को लाल भयो, अरे हाथी दीने घोड़ा दीने, हे ब्रज में आनंद भयो, हे ब्रज में आनंद भयो, ब्रज में आनंद भयो, अरे हाथी दीने घोड़ा दीने, अरे हाथी दीने घोड़ा दीने, नंद घेरा नंद भयो, ए नंद घेरा नंद भयो, हे नंद घेरानंद भयो, हे यशोदा को लाल भयो, हे यशोदा को लाल भयो, नंद घेरानंद भयो, हे व्रज में आनंद भयो, हे दाऊ जी को भ्राता भयो, हे व्रज में आनंद भयो, नंद घेरानंद भयो, नंद घेरानंद भयो, व्रज में कल्याण भयो, व्रज में नाथ भयो, नंद घेरानंद भयो, नंद घेरानंद भयो, नंद घेरानंद भयो, हे व्रज में आनंद भयो, नंद घेरानंद भयो, जय कन्हैया लाल की, नंद घेरानंद भयो, जय हो नंद लाल की, जय कन्हैया लाल की, जय हो नंद लाल की, हे व्रज में आनंद भयो, जय हो नैया लाल की, हे व्रज में आनंद भयो, जय कन्हैया लाल की, व्रज में आनंद भयो, जय कन्हैया लाल की, व्रज में आनंद भयो, जय कन्हैया, हे नंद घेरानंद भयो, जय कन्हैया लाल की, नंद घेरानंद भयो, जय कन्हैया लाल की, जय कन्हैया लाल की, जय गोकुल के नाथ की, जय गोकुल के नाथ की, हे व्रज में आनंद भयो, जय कन्हैया लाल की, व्रज में आनंद भयो, जय कन्हैया लाल की, जय कन्हैया लाल की, जय गोकुल पाल की, जय कन्हैया लाल की, जय गोकुल के नाथ की, हे व्रज में आनंद भयो, जय कन्हैया लाल की, व्रज में आनंद भयो, जय कन्हैया लाल की, 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 हे व्रज में आनंद भयो, जय कन्हैया लाल की, हे नंद घेरानंद भयो, जय कन्हैया लाल की, हे हाथी दिए घोड़ा दिए और दिए पाल की, हे ब्राह्मण को दान दिनो बूढ़न को लापसी, हे नंद घेरानंद भयो, जय कन्हैया लाल की, हे राधा जी को सैया भयो, जय हो नंद लाल की, राधा जी को सैया भयो, जय हो लाल की, हे नंद घेरानंद भयो, जय कन्हैया लाल की, हे नंद घेरानंद भयो, जय कन्हैया लाल की, 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 हे व्रज को प्राण भयो, जय हो नंद लाल की, हे व्रज को प्राण भयो, जय कन्हैया लाल की, हे नंद घेरानंद भयो, जय कन्हैया लाल की, हे नंद घेरानंद भयो, जय कन्हैया लाल की, हे नंद घेरानंद भयो, नंद घेरानंद भयो, हे यशोदा को लाल भयो, यशोदा को लाल भयो, એ દાઉજી કો ભાવ ભયો, એ દાઉજી કો ભાવ ભયો, એ ગોકુલ કો નાથ ભયો, એ ગોકુલ કો નાથ ભયો, એ હાથી દીને ઘોડા દીને, હાથી દીને ઘોડા દીને, હે નંદ ઘેરા નંદ ભયો, હે નંદ ઘેરા નંદ ભયો,
જય કનૈયા લાલ કે,
હે નંદ ઘેરા નંદ ભયો,
જય કનૈયા લાલ કે,
નંદ ઘેરા નંદ ભયો,
જય કનૈયા લાલ કે,
હે નંદ ઘેરા નંદ ભયો,
જય કનૈયા લાલ કે,
નંદ ઘેરા નંદ ભયો,
જય કનૈયા લાલ કે,
હાથી દીને ઘોડા દીને,
ઓર દિને પાલખે,
નંદ ઘેરા નંદ ભયો,
જય કનૈયા લાલ કે,
નંદ ઘેરા નંદ ભયો,
જય કનૈયા લાલ કે,
નંદ ઘેરા નંદ ભયો,
જય કનૈયા લાલ કે,
ગોવર્ધન
નાથ કી જય.
શ્રી બાલ કૃષ્ણ લાલ કી. પ્રિય નવનીત પાલને ઝૂલે, શ્રી વિઠ્ઠલનાથ ઝુલાવે હો. પ્રિય નવનીત. ફ્રેંક પર્યંક શયનમ. In Shastras, multiple times it has been mentioned Sut, Magad and Vandijan. Sut, Magad and Vandijan, these have been mentioned in Shastras multiple times. For people who recite the stories of Puranas are considered to be Suta. પાંચમો અધ્યાય 15મો શ્લોક. Magad are the one who recite the glories of the ancestors of the king. And Vandis are the one who describe that particular moment. See, there are, when you have a celebration now, there are some people who come from front because they expect something from you. We might have a mindset that even if we give them as much, it's going to fall short or it's going to be lesser. See, they might not have the understanding of asking, but at least you need to have the understanding of giving them. And there's a common law in the world, please remember this. लेने वाले का हाथ ऐसे होता है, देने वाले का ऐसे होता है. Now you decide which side of the world do you want to be on. I only want to be on this side of the world if the thing that I'm getting in return is Lord. And I only want to be in this side of the world if it's going to benefit others. There's joy in giving, not in receiving. But that doesn't mean we need to not receive things. Because in a relationship, if there are only two givers, then who's the receiver? You need to understand the time and tide and accordingly behave like one. Sometimes you have to give love, and sometimes you have to receive that love. And you will only be able to provide the love which is there in you. You won't be able to borrow it from outside. Love is not a transition which you can borrow from outside and then you can provide it to someone. It's not money. It's immaterialistic. You can only provide what you have. If you don't have something, you cannot provide it to anyone. And yesterday when we were in the awe of Krishna Janmashtami, we didn't miss out on Baldevji. But surrogacy as a concept existed even before science could evolve. And that's why Devki's Saptagarbha, which had Baladev, Sankarshan himself, was transferred through surrogacy to Rohini. Rohini is mother of Balram. Balram is brother of Bhagwan Shri Krishna. Rohini ji as well is engaged in this entire celebration because she's the one who's attending the guests. Her participation is really strong. And how is this Vraj? Whose Vraj is it? It's Nandasya Vraj. Very important point. We say Vraj Bhagwan nu છે. ભગવાનનું વ્રજ થાય એના પહેલા નંદરાયજીનું વ્રજ છે. And how is this Vraj? Sarva Samruddhiman. Why is this essence of Nanda Mahotsav so evidently celebrated, so enthusiastically celebrated in Pushtimarg? See, first things first, one Utsav, Janmashtami, where two Panchamruts take place. Morning and the night, midnight. Despite having a fast, the feast for Lord is made as equally as it could be made for an Annakut Utsav. We are fasting that day. And how are we supposed to break our fast? The Mahabhog that has been offered to Lord after midnight, that prasadi needs to be taken the next day. So we don't have to worry about whether the food will get destroyed or not. Because the food, the samagri for Thakurji is made at night itself, it can still sustain till the next day morning. Now what is this Mahabhog as a concept? After the midnight event of Sri Thakurji's incarnation, after offering Panchamrit, Malaji, Tulsi ji, a small format of holy khel is done to Thakurji. Chova, Chandan, Abir, Gulal is being offered to Thakurji only on Malajis. As an embark that it's a celebration, that you are here. There's no Aarti happening at night. It's a fashion at a lot of places out that they start doing Aarti of Thakurji at night. When Devki ji and Vasudev ji got the Thakurji, they could never do an Aarti. They did Bhagwan's Stuti. And since they did Bhagwan's Stuti, only Panchamrit is offered to Thakurji. Yeah, that's fine. Around 30 minutes the darshan is open. And an entire kirtan is sung. Vrajabhayo mahar ke poot jabaya baat suni. It happens so that it happens to be Surdaji's first kirtan. Aarti is not done. At midnight? No. Overall you do Aarti, that's fine. Midnight there's no Aarti. So what? Navneet Priyaji doesn't get Aarti. Sara will have the Aarti. We don't take that Aarti. Because Aarti as a concept is Najar Utarvanu. Even you might have realized the Brahmins over here, they're not offering you Aarti after that. They just take it away from you. What they do is they rotate a flower and they offer it to Lord and they take away the Aarti. Because in Pushti, Aarti is done from a kram of Najar Utarvani. which I'll be covering in some 10 minutes from now if you will wait. Or maybe 5 minutes from now. Please, who has told this, please bring them to me. Next day morning, come to me, I'll teach you ABC. Please bring them to me. Navneet Priyaji gets Aarti. Who's Navneet Priyaji? Bal Swarup. It's essential to understand this entire Leela of Thakurji, which is Nanda Mahotsav. And I have a small question. This Nanda Mahotsav, is it a part of Ashtami or is it a part of Navami? It's incorrect. Ashtami's seva is concluded on Navami. And Nanda Mahotsav is the conclusion of that seva. Because after the Nanda Mahotsav is done, Shri Thakurji gets Mangla again. આપણા ઘરે ઠાકોરજી પોડી જાય છે. Technically, Thakurji podwa જોઈએ નહીં. Because Thakurji got awake at midnight. Birth was at midnight. Na? Thakurji technically doesn't sleep. Nom રાત્રે નથી થતી, સવારે થાય છે. But the સેવાક્રમ is still of Ashtami. Nanda Mahotsav ka સેવાક્રમ, the Palna Julana, and then Thakurji goes back. Then Mangla starts. Then Navami ki seva starts. Mangla embarks Navami. Though we say Nanda Mahotsav is on Navami, but it's seva of Ashtami only. Thai Navami na divse, but seva is of Ashtami. Now everyone is into discussion. Yeah, that's the whole point. If you read the Seva Pranalika, I mean, someday you guys are blessed, you all are blessed to go to Nathdwara at any given point of time. Let's just say one fine day you decide, I want to do Janmashtami in Nathdwara. Yeah? Next day you will have Nanda Mahotsav. You will see Navneet Priyaji julofying in a cradle. Yeah, there are some 8 to 16 kirtans which are being sung in front of him. Not midnight. Not midnight. ત્યાં ક્રેડલ ક્યાં હતું દેવકીજી ને યશોદાજી સોરી દેવકીજી અને વસુદેવજી પાસે સુપડો હતો. Never had a cradle. Cradle was in Nandraiji's house. Yeah. સુપડામાં લઈ ગયા. સુન લો સુપડો, whatever you want to call it. No, there was no basket. It was not a topli. It is a supadi. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You are, just because the pictures are showing you a tokri again and again, it's not a tokri, it's a supadi. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's a plastic supadi which you use for cleaning. Misconception. supadi હતી. વાંસની સુપડી હતી, રાખેલી હતી. મારા ભગવાન બહુ મિનિમલિસ્ટિક છે. That's how the Nanda Mahotsav is concluded, and it is said so that this Nanda Mahotsav had got extended for 1 year. And because now Nandraji goes to meet Vasudevji, and they have a conversation that Vasudevji informs Nandraji that beware now, you are going to get a lot of trouble. Because Kans has gone mad, and he's going to ensure that someone or the other keeps on attacking Vraj. Nandraji got this message. He had gone to pay tax to Kans. So taxation system is not something which is new. 5,000 years ago, there was something called as taxation. Taxation has been enoughly elaborated in Manusmriti and Arthashastras. Arthashastra referring to Kautilya Shastra. So back in the days, a king could function because he could collect taxes. And since Kansa was a king, he had imprisoned his father, Ugrasen, and now he was the king. And Nandraji happened to meet Kans and paid his taxes and came back. And while he was coming back, he happened to meet Vasudevji. And Vasudevji gave him an indication that please beware, because now is the time when someone called Putana is going to come. Now, Putana people feel is a beautiful lady who comes down and eventually starts feeding Lord. But if you try and understand who Putana is actually representing ignorance. It's because of two moments because of which Putana could get an entry in the house. Number one, Nandraiji was not around. The protector of Vraj was not around. And second, the cows were not around. गायो चरवा गई थी. गाय चरवा गई. गाय गो उपनिषद જ્ઞાનનું સ્વરૂપ. જ્યાં જ્ઞાન ન હોય ત્યાં અજ્ઞાન આવે. Ignorance can only enter when there is no wisdom. And cows are also known as go, and go also mean Upanishad. Upanishad also means wisdom. Since the cows had gone for grazing and Nandraiji was not around, Putana could imply her ignorance. All the gopas were awestruck that who's this beautiful lady? And the gopis were awestruck that, wow, who's come down over here? And she just randomly goes inside and accesses Sri Thakurji's room and starts feeding Thakurji. And Thakurji, Yoshitva. The action is done of feeding, but eventually, instead of sucking milk, Lord starts sucking the soul. And there's so much pain, jeev chuswa lagela. Bhagwan had chusi lido jeev. And that Kanya, which was Sukanya, now showcases her truest form. She takes her form and she's so ugly, she's so humongous that when she falls on the ground, a lot of trees get annihilated there and there itself. Putana માટે અર્થી બનાવી નથી પડી. The trees that got uprooted themselves became the arthi for Putana. And what was the Lord doing? The Lord was dancing on the chest of Putana. And because of the tremendous sound, everyone came outside and saw that, Putana, she was not a common lady. She was actually a Rakshasi who was sent by Kansa. And this Putana had already consumed a lot of children prior to this. So if you read the deep dive text of Bhagwatam, you will realize all the souls that were being killed by her were residing in her, and the Lord had to liberate those souls. That's the reason Sri Thakurji starts sucking her soul. What would you do if you were the one who was supposed to be killed by someone like Putana? I don't think we might have an answer to this. But look at the compassion that we spoke about yesterday. Daya, mercy, compassion, pity. Look at Lord's perspective. She did something what my mother could have done. Since her action is just like my mother, she's considered to be Masi. Hence, I'll liberate her the way my mother could have been liberated. I'm going to forgive Putana and she gets liberation. Compassion. So Putana is dead, by the way. But Putana's soul gets liberation. She's liberated. And on the other side, now, Go Mai, that's cow dung. Go Mutra, that's cow urine. And Go Raja, that is the soil which is there in the soil of the leg of the cow. Go Raj. These three are being utilized, and the Lord has been bathed because of that. all these three elements are being utilized for the Abhishek of Lord. It's not just the Yamuna Jadma Kesar body which is being offered. Anything of the cow is considered to be pure. You take dung, you take mutra, or even you take the raj. That's why cow was so important in our society. Till that extent that recently a female entrepreneur created a venture on selling cow dung. Her revenue in some years was 30 crores within 3-4 years of time. I don't think she needs to come on Shark Tank for this. She made it through by herself. She created a customized process that even foreigners started investing in cow dung and they started ordering. So she's supplying those cow dung cakes overseas. See, this is a sign and indication I'm supposed to go towards Bal Leela. What happens when your baby is not keeping well or you as a mother are facing a lot of bad dreams? That's the time wherein you are supposed to recite Lord's name. That's when you're supposed to recite Lord's name. And while reciting Lord's name, you are supposed to touch various anga of the Lord. That's exactly what has been happening over here. Because the gopis were terrified, Yashodaji was terrified, they took Lord's name and they were touching one organ of Lord. Like Aja was being utilized to touch the leg. Maniman was being utilized to touch the knees. Avyad, so these are all sandhis. Right? So individually, if you see Janvo Tharu, so Yagna is being utilized for thighs, Uru. Achyuta is being utilized for upper waist. Hayagriv is being utilized for abdomen. Keshav is utilized for heart. So if you see Ruta Keshava. And because I know Sanskrit is tough for you, here's the translation of it. One name of Vishnu is being uttered so that that name of Vishnu would protect that particular organ of the child. Even when Brahmins do nyasa, they are supposed to do some format of nyasa. They recite Lord's name in various formats. You know, in the start they make you say Keshvaya Namah Swaha, Narayana Swaha, Madhavaya Namah Swaha, Govindeti Hastam Prakshalya. A similar segment of concept is being utilized while these guys are doing nyasa as well. Sometimes they might recite the Purusha Sukta and make us do all of these. Anga nyasa, that is what is being called. તમે એનું ડોપામીન હાઈ કર્યું પછી ક્યાંથી સુવાનો? ઇન્દ્રિયાણી ઋષિકેશ પ્રાણા નારાયણ. I'll send it to you, don't worry. If you don't finish it right now, it's fine. Indriyani Rishikesh. May Rishikesh protect your senses. May Narayan take care of your life air. Prana. Your prana will be taken care by Narayan. Yogeshwar. Yeah, in Bhagavad Gita, Lord has been called as Yogeshwar. These guys, when Pandits recite that shloka, Yatra Yogeshwara Krushno, Yatra Partho Dhanurdaraha, Tatra Shri Vijayo Bhutir Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama. Yogeshwara Krushna, someone who is the Ishwar of the yoga. And in order to do yoga, you need control over your mind. And that's why it is said Mano Yogeshwarotu. This is the beauty behind Putana Kavach. And for all those people who are concerned, Swapna Drashta. Do you see that Swapna Drashta? Mahotpata, Vruddha, Bala, Grahascha. If you're facing disturbances, especially for children, all of these can vanish away. They can vanquish away just by taking Lord's name. That's why people had a practice until the child turns 5. They used to do Putana Kavach daily. Because Balyavastha. Just after listening to so much about Bhagwan Shri Krishna, Parikshit Raja is like, my curiosity about knowing Shri Krishna is arising even further. Please tell me more about the various pastimes, the various leelas. What has he done? Just like he killed Putana, are there any other more people that he has killed? And that comes the incident of the cart, which is called the Shakat Bandhan Leela. See, let me tell you one thing. Some people might feel bad after listening to this katha. Reason being, it teaches you prioritizing Thakurji over the world, because in our life, mostly we prioritize world over Thakurji. I'm telling a fact. If you want to take it that way, take it that way. If you want to take it in a sportingly, take it in a sporting way. The reason being, Yashodaji did one small mistake. There was a cart which was full of all the dahi, makhan, mishri, etc. And while she had to attend various guests, she kept the baby below the cart. She forgot about the baby altogether, and now she was engaged into taking care of all the family members. And despite Lord being of a very tender age, Lord ensured that he touched his feet to Shakat once, and that Shakat rolled down in a way that all the Makhan, Mishri and all those things were there, they broke down. The Shakat also broke down, and people were wondering what happened. It happened so that Shakat had an Asur in it. Shakat had an Asur in it. The cart was in the form of a demon, a non-living element. Lord ensured that he kicked it and got one thing in return. He grabbed everyone's attention back. Maro Thakur છે ને exclusive છે. એ અન્ય દેવી દેવતા જેવો નથી કે તમે એમને પ્રણામ કરી લીધા અને પછી સાઈડમાં મૂકી દીધા. He wants continuous interaction. He's just like Ridan. He wants you. And this is the biggest message that Yashoda ji got, that when I'm prioritizing the worldly things, that's when the Shakat Leela takes place. See, a major practice, and please make a note of this point in your life, in case if you have Thakurji at home and you're supposed to go out, if you have that sentimentality and feeling for Thakurji, please check upon Thakurji. Call the person whom you have conferred the Thakurji upon. Seek, understand from them, is your Thakurji all right or not? Are you facing any difficulties? Do I need to avail some things for you? Do I need to send some samagris? Do I need to send you some ornaments? Have I made some mistake in, giving you all the things which are essential for Shri Thakurji's seva? What is our relation with our Lord? Ek divas nahi gayi seva, it's okay. What did I tell you today? Who am I missing? I told you I'm missing my Thakurji because these are the days of khel and I'm not in front of him. My biggest relief is that I'm in front of my Bhagwatji. Even if you don't do seva, at least you feel like going and seeking darshan. You at least go sanmukh. Even the Lord should feel like, Are tu aavi gyo? Even he should feel like the devotees come to see me. And then comes someone called as Trunavarta. Trunavarta is a demon which comes in a form of a, what do we say? Cyclone. Cyclone. There's so much dust that no one can see anything in abducts Thakurji. And Thakurji is a very small kid yet. But there is one quality of Sri Thakurji. He can be as small as an Angusht if he needs to be. If he can be as Virat as a Virat Purush as he wants to be. He starts increasing his weight. And because of his increasing in the weight, now Trunavart can't handle the weight of Sri Thakurji. Eventually Trunavart is slayed. Now what are we supposed to understand by this demon who comes? Trunavart is someone who represents Rajogun. There are three gunas, Sattvic, Rajas and Tamas. You eat certain segment of elements, you eat certain segment of food, it enhances tamasic vritti, tamasic behavior in you. You eat certain segment of food, it enhances rajasic behavior in you. You eat food that is raw, which is not overly cooked, which is simplified, it stays as sattvic in you. Any form of prasadam is sattvic in nature. Something which is overly cooked, something which is overly spicy will enhance your rajasic nature. And something which is kuposhya, something you shouldn't be consuming at all, is tamasic in nature. And it affects your bhakti. Rajas is also one good guna. Rajas is also one quality which, now this is not my opinion by the way, it's Sri Mahaprabhu Vallabh's opinion. So Mahaprabhuji is helping you understand that Trunavarta is a representation of Rajogun, and this Rajogun includes Kama, Krodha and Lobha. Kama, that's your lust. Krodha, that's your anger. And Lobha, that's your greed. And why does Trunavart come? It's because of avidya, it's because of ignorance. Post which Sri Thakurji decides to have soil, mati, mrittika, bhakshan leela. Yashoda ji is still trying to understand that he is not mere a boy. He's actually the Lord of the world. Now, how do you prove that fact to him? You play it out in a way so that the mother sees in your mouth and she realizes, oh, I can see an entire universe in it. And what happens because of that? She's awestruck. So now, before the father, the mother knows that he's not normal. And now Nandraiji invites someone called as Garga, Gargacharya ji. Garga Purohito Rajan. Now what is, see, look at the secretive, sorry. Look at this secret meeting that takes place between Nandraiji and Sri Gargacharya as well. So Garga is someone who is a Purohit of Yadus, Yadavas. That means he is also a Purohit of Kans. Till now the scheme is to safeguard Bhagavan Shri Krishna. Understand one thing. Why is Krishna not supposed to be exposed to Kansa because Krishna is supposed to do a lot of leelas in Vraj yet. Not that Krishna is not ready to go to Mathura. Krishna is always ready to go anywhere he wants to. But he is supposed to channelize all the devotees into something called as Nirodha. The Bhagwatam 10th canto is known as Nirodha Leela. What is something that Thakurji is going to ensure by doing all these Leelas right now? He's going to cut off all the ties of the various gopis and the gopas, of all the Vrajvasis, including Nandraiji and Yashoda. So there's a secret meeting that takes place between Gargacharyaji and Nandraiji saying, don't worry, I have a spot in Vraj. Kans won't even come to know that you have come over here. But it's essential to name our children. And we want you to come for it. You should have seen me in morning. My voice was so beautiful. I could have beaten Miley Cyrus and Justin Bieber for singing as well. Balramji, Sankarshan is also named. Bhagwan Shri Krishna is also named. And please try to know this. I won't be able to justify it to you right now that why is it so. But Shastra prescribes you to have 3 names. One is as per your nakshatra, second is as per your rashi, and there's one more category which I don't remember right now. Any person in this world should have 3 names. 3 names. And the 4th name, technically you all use a word called as pet name. But it's not supposed to be a pet name. It's actually supposed to be also known as. કૂતરાનું નામ નથી પાડી રહ્યા આપણે, માણસનું નામ પાડી રહ્યા છે. It can't be a pet name, it's a human name at the end of the day. So even Mahaprabhu Vallabh had 3 names. Even Bhagwan Shri Krishna had 3 names. In order to know more about it, my request would be to please read this chapter by yourself. That's a homework from my side. From whichever or whosever katha you come to next, might be in Gujarati, Hindi, Marathi, English, whichever language I don't know. But before you go for that katha, please ensure that you read Dashmaskand 8th chapter, sub-chapter. You will get to know the various names of Bhagwan over there. And by the way, for someone who thinks that names don't have any science or logic behind it, let me tell you one thing. Your name also showcases your qualities. Your name showcases your qualities. And in case if you're behaving against your own name, please reconsider it. Now imagine my name is Aditya and I'm not vibrant. Think over it. I don't need your certification. I know I'm vibrant, by the way, just to tell you in advance. So I don't need external validation for it. એ ભગવાનની કૃપા છે. Yeah? And if you are Chhaganlal, now you might feel, what is Chhaganlal? Chhaganlal is such a funny name. Well, it's surprising to know Chhaganlal and Maganlal are actually Thakurji's names. Yeah. Chhagan Magan Pyare Lal Kijiye Kaleva. Who are Chhagan Magan? Balramji and Bhagwan Shri Krishna. So many Vallabhkul Acharyas, if you'll go, they might have dual Lalans. Dual Lalan Seva. They call them Chhagan Magan. You go to Lal Mandir in Bhuleshwar as well, there are Chhagan Magan there as well. Any Lalan Jodi is called Chhagan Magan. You can have 4 as well, you can have many names. 3 is prescribed by the Shastras. One is as per your nakshatra, one is as per your rashi. That's why you have multiple names. So if you will see Vishal Baba is Lal Govindji. Lal Govindji also has 3 names. Adhiraj Baba, Lal Govindji, and he has 3rd name as well. So an official paper, Lalan Baba is known out of love. How we call Vallabh out of love. But he's also known as Janardhan and Shravishta. What does Sri Thakurji do? Now Thakurji starts crawling. Janu Ringan Leela. Ringan refers to your? Very good. Now since Lord is crawling, he started crawling, he starts crawling in muddy places. Where there's cow dung, there's urine. And when he's crawling, people feel that the snake is actually crawling. And eventually, Lord also starts creating rakas for everyone else. Why? Because sometimes Lord goes like this. Vatsan munchan kvachita samaye krosha sanjataha saha. Now see what funny activities the Lord can do. So let's just say if there are cows at neighbors' places or other people's places, Lord will ensure that he'll open the door and the cows will go out for grazing. And the gopis will come complaining that your Yashoda, your son is very nutcut. He lets our cows go away. And on the other side, Lord is defending, I'm doing a good deed. The cows wanted to graze, that's the reason I'm opening their doors. How do you beat that smarty in the world? It's impossible, right? Sometimes he decides that, you know what, I'm going to steal. Now you might wonder, why is he Makhan Chor? What does his need for stealing? Apparently, he's not just stealing butter. He's stealing the minds of people. That's what you sing, na? Chitta Chori Lidha. And there comes a very, very, very sweet story of one fine day where the Lord is actually getting caught. Now, do you want to know the story? How sweet of you. Your caffeine has sustained you today. Nice. This story, it's not of Bhagwatam though. My ancestors used to say this story in Katha. So there's a Kaki called Prabhavati. Okay, so Prabhavati Kaki is a very essential character right now. Please make a note of it. Prabhavati Kaki has made a lot of makhan, a lot of butter, and she's ensured that the makhan is kept in appropriate places, hanging from the ceiling and all of those things. And Bhagwan Shri Krishna is sitting with his friends, Gop Balaks, and they're deciding, who's our target today? And everyone said, Prabhavati Kaki is our target for the day. Fine. So instead of the day, they go at the night, and they break into the house. So it's Lord along with his friends, and there are even monkeys. Vanar Sena to jo hai na. So this time all of them enter the house and they start creating that pyramid, and eventually they get the butter out and they start consuming this butter. It happens so that in similar incidences prior to this, one time where Shri Thakurji was doing Makhan Chori, his dhoti came off. So now with 2 hands, Thakurji is catching the matki, and with 2 hands he's trying to catch hold of his dhoti. And that's where Thakurji from a Dvibhuj becomes a Chaturbhuj. Dvibhuj is 2 hands, Chaturbhuj is 4 hands. So when you go to Kota, Mathura Dishji Swarup, that's actually Makhan Chori Swarup. Be hatati Makhan and be hatati dhoti. That's what he's taking care of. But now he's expert, he knows how to tie his dhoti pretty well. So he's not worried about it. But someone breaks a pot and Prabhavati Kaki is inside. She's inside the room. And she catches hold of Bhagwan. And thus starts the social negotiation. Please let me go. Oh, I won't let you go. Allow me to go this time. Oh, I won't let you go. And there's banter between Prabhavati Kaki and Bhagwan Shri Krishna. Bhagwan is like, okay, fine, take me to Yashoda ji. So Prabhavati Kaki this time takes that same balak to Yashodaji from Krishna to Yashodaji. And she starts knocking the door and starts yelling that, "Hey Yashoda, please come out, I have a complaint of your Kanha." Yashodaji is looking at Kanha and asking, "What did you do?" First question, how did Kanha reach there? Second question, Kanha is answering, "I haven't done anything. I'm right in front of you. Why don't you ask Prabhavati Kaki to come inside and tell you what has happened?" So Prabhavati Kaki is now inside, and Prabhavati Kaki starts complaining that, "Yashoda, your son is such a brat that he keeps on destroying my matkis, keeps on stealing my butter. Can you please teach him something? Can you control him?" "But I am feeding my Lala. It's his Rajbhog time. How are you claiming that he's with you? See, I've caught him red-handed today." And apparently it was so that while Prabhavati Kaki was taking Bhagwan Shri Krishna along with her, she had covered him with a cloth. When she takes that cloth off, she realizes it's his own child. Her own child, I'm sorry. So Prabhavati Kaki's son is actually having Makhan, and Yashodaji is laughing at Prabhavati. "See, look whose child is it." Now Prabhavati Kaki slaps Lampart on the cheek, and child is like, "What did I do?" Like, "Aren't you supposed to tell me that it's you?" Like, "Mom, you never take me out. This is the first time you took me out. How am I supposed to complain and tell you that it's not Krishna and it's me?" And she slaps him once again. So Prabhavati Kaki this time got fooled because Bhagwan Shri Krishna played the plot really well. In the meanwhile, while she was walking around, Prabhavati Kaki stopped in the middle for having a conversation with someone, and Krishna got swapped. And Krishna ran away and reached Yashodaji's place before. But the story doesn't end here. You want to know what happens after this? People want to love stories. Nice. काम करो कालती से ने तत्वने वाली stories कहवानी. So this time, it's revenge time. It's revenge time. We want to take revenge against Prabhavati Kaki because she was the one to complain. ठीक है. So this time, it's night again. Krishna comes again. Prabhavati Kaki is sleeping with Kaka. Now it happens so that Prabhavati Kaki has long hair and Kaka has long beard. You are so smart. Now these are tied together. And while they wake up in the morning, they're moving around because one can't move without the other. And guess who comes? Prabhavati Kaki's Jamaisa knocks the door. And Jamaisa, now they are wondering, Jamaisa dikro che, let's get him inside. They got him inside. They're asking him to unwind it. It doesn't happen. And now everyone's in a fix. Because Prabhavati Kaki is in a chinks with Kaka. No matter what they're doing, now the simplest solution you might say is cut it off. Oh, what kon kape? So they went now. Now they decided, okay, fine, you know what, we need to go to Krishna because we know it's him. So fine, they went there. And how are they walking? Prabhavati's Kaki is walking at the front, Kakaji is walking at the back, and they're so close, everyone is wondering what is wrong with them. So they reach Yashodaji's place, and this time Prabhavati Kaki is like, "Krishna che?" With very politeness. And now what did he do? Like, he hasn't done anything. I just want to see him. Prabhavati Kaki calls for Krishna, Krishna comes out, and Krishna starts laughing. "Are Prabhavati Kaki, what is this behavior? Why are you walking like this with Kakaji in the morning? You don't have any other things to do over it." "Krishna, we understood your plot. Please forgive us. Can you get out of this? Can you help us get out of this?" Krishna is like, "Promise me next time I come, you won't say anything to my mother." "Fine, be it so. We won't tell anything to your mother. Please get us out." Now, something that has been tied by the God can only be untied by him. એને જેવું બાંધતા આવડે ને આપણને ના આવડે. But yeah, there is one space wherein we want to tie him out. Once again, Lord has Mrut Bhakshan, he has soil, and she happens to see the different format of the Swarup. Yashodaji's and Nandraiji's previous birth has been talked about. But there's one space where we want to tie the Lord. We want to tie the Lord, and it doesn't happen. Whenever Yashodaji is trying to tie the Lord, because the complaints have increased and now we need to teach him a lesson. Every time while she's tying, she's falling short of this much distance. 2 fingers. Why 2 fingers? There was one incident where in Lanka, when Hanumanji is caught, they try to tie him and they cannot tie him. And eventually when a Brahmastra is there, Brahmastra was there and Brahmastra was the one that could tie Hanumanji. And Ravan didn't believe in the Brahmastra, was looking out for something else to tie him. And eventually the effect of the Brahmastra goes away. On the other side, we have this. Whenever Yashodaji is trying to tie the Lord, 2 fingers, it's falling short of 2 fingers. What do you do in such a case? The first thing that we need to do is we need to understand what are those 2 fingers. You know the answer. Just try to find the answer. It has something to do with you. It has something to do with me. It's called Damodar Leela, by the way. Dam Udar. Udar refers to stomach. Since I had decided not to ask you too many questions, don't worry. I'll answer that 2-finger questions for you only. Don't worry. I'm not putting pressure on you. Your gentle brain will get disturbed if I put pressure on it. Don't worry. I'm not going to pressure you. The 2 fingers are very simple. It's I and mine. Ahanta and Mamta. I am something, Ahanta. This is mine, Mamta. Every time Yashoda ji is trying to tie Shri Thakur ji, she is falling short of these 2 fingers, Ahanta and Mamta. And Lord is looking at the mother, that the mother is struggling, you know what, let's give it up. She's doing it out of punishment, but she technically has love for me. That's the reason Lord gives up the 2 Ahanta and Mamta. The concept over there, and Lord gives in, and finally Yashoda ji could tie Shri Thakur ji. It's because of grace of Shri Thakur ji Yashoda could do it. If you want to achieve the Lord, these are the 2 things that need to be submitted in the lotus feet of the Lord. This is what your Brahma Sambandh is all about. Atma sahit badhu samarpit karu chu. Atma is I. And Sahit Badhu, that's mine. What am I offering? Dara Gara Putra. Maru Putra, Mari Patni, Maru Santan, Maru Sansar, Badhu. Atma Sahit, I'm samarpifying to you. Hey Krushna, hu tamaro das chu. Now in order to be Krishna's das, you have to first leave Ahanta and Mamta. And instead of leaving, you are supposed to actually offer it to Lord. That whatever this is, even this katha, I'm not doing the katha. It's the Lord who's sitting in me and ensuring that I'm saying the right things for you. Me as a soul, I don't have the capacity to do this katha altogether. Until the day of Katha, I was freaking out. It's English. How am I going to manage it? You think I have the capacity and the capabilities to do this? 1000% not. It's him who's actually making me do this. And despite that, you all have been very kind and gracious enough on me that you've been giving positive feedback to the family. I'm really grateful for all of you. Thank you so much. And now Lord decides, you know what? I have this ukhal behind me. I have this entire support system behind me. Let me go in the forest and have to liberate two people who are supposed to be called as Kuber's son, who are in the form of trees. And embarking this, we'll try to recite this verse together. So I'll recommend you to join your hands and recite this verse along with me. Namaha Parama Kalyana. Namaha Parama Kalyana. Namaha Parama Mangala. Namaha Parama Mangala. Vasudevaya Shantaya. Vasudevaya Shantaya. Yadunam Pataye Namaha. Yadunam Pataye Namaha. Parama Kalyana. Kalyana. Parama Mangal, someone who's auspicious. Not just auspicious, supremely auspicious. Who's he? Vasudevaya. Someone who gives you moksha. What's his swarup? Shantaya. Someone who's calm, someone who's composed, someone who's peaceful. Who's he? Yadunam Pati. Some time ago we heard about Dhruva, Yonta Pravishya. We heard about Ambrish, who was talking about his hands. Similarly, Kuber's son are also talking the same thing. Vani Gunanukathane. My speech is for whom? Is for what? Gunanukathane. As much as we might sound cool or fancy when we say words that we are not supposed to, let me tell you one thing. In Shastras, it has been said this: the words that you choose showcases your character, showcases the family that you come from. Kulni ઓળખાણ તમારા શબ્દથી થાય છે. See, please don't take it in a context wherein I'm asking you to restrict yourself. I'm asking you to evolve yourself in a way so that those negative words don't even bother you. Our Gen Z's language is very fancy, I know that. We use words that we are not supposed to use very casually. But it's high time that we understand that that's not the culture, that's not the only culture we are supposed to live in. From a social standpoint, from a societal standpoint, it's fine. But don't sacrifice your religion, your dharma for it, just because you're supposed to be cool in front of a certain segment of people. If you feel implementing Western lifestyle is cool, let me tell you one thing, implementing Eastern lifestyle is equally cool as well. Just that what you define as cool is the biggest question mark. I have a friend in States. Comes from a Patel family. Entire family is anti-religious. And that guy does Sri Thakurji's seva. He knows how to make samagri. What's his age? 25 years old. His girlfriend is Catholic. Converted to Pushtimarg Vaishnava. In ISKCON, you have people from Ukraine, Finland, Poland, Colombia, Denmark, Russia, Germany, all these countries, Argentina, all these countries have enough foreigners who come down to Vrindavan. Enough foreigners who are Vishnu Bhakta, ISKCON followers primarily, or other format of Sampradaya followers as well, they primarily come to Vrindavan. Rath Yatra is one festival which is celebrated across the globe. Enough initiatives have been taken by various people, various Indians, various Hindus staying in different parts of the world as well. And I remember for the first time when Ganesh Chaturthi was celebrated in London, they took special permission to submerge the idol in the Thames. And I felt like, wow. It doesn't matter if you're a Pushtimarg or Vaishnava. As far as you're practicing as a Sanatan Hindu as well, it's fine. You are Sanatan Vedic first, then comes your belief system in particular gods and goddesses, and eventually tones down to where do you want to navigate yourself towards. Like my navigation since the entire generation has been through one. Primarily Brahmins are Shiv dominated. If I tell you my family history, because we had chosen Kanthi, there were people who were ready to remove us out of the community. I'm talking 5 generations above me. But we were so dedicated in the lotus feet of the Lord, we didn't bother that. And very much after the next generation, we had to fight against the Shankar Pandits. There was a Shastra which was being organized between Mayavadis and Brahmavadis. And the Kakroli Naresh had requested our family to go and fight for it. Savli, no Shastra. So many are there. So many are there. Taj Bibi, Ras Khan, Ali Khan Pathan, Mona Bhangi. It is extremely possible. There are the right kind of gurus who will accept you and get you inside. I'm not talking about those who are rejecting you. I've seen a lot of those who are acceptable as well. Sure. It's a very beautiful question and I appreciate the question and needs to be addressed in the crowd as well. It's my responsibility to answer that. Then on is Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Gaudiya Vaishnavas primarily focus on taking the Lord's name. Pushtimargiya Vaishnavas first focus on the Swarup Seva. The second form of activity or responsibility that they have is taking the Lord's name. So during the time slot when you can do seva, you do seva. During the time slot when you don't do seva is when you take Lord's name. Correct. Or in the second half as well. So a lot of people have Savarni Seva and Sanjni Seva, both the time Seva. But in the meantime, while they are not doing Seva, they'll end up taking Lord's name. So, see, in Bombay, traveling is a concern. I've seen so many Vaishnavas and so many Sanatani Hindus sitting in train and doing their part. You have to go to church gate, it will take 45 minutes to 1 hour anyway. There are so many Nishthavan people who remove their shoes and still do the part. Sounds uncool for a lot of people, but they respect the Lord's name and that's how they do it. ISKCON is a little more flexible around it. They allow you to wear shoes and take Lord's name. Pushtimarg is a little not so open about it yet. Maybe in future it might be. I still don't know about it. But since we consider Lord's name to be very pious and pure, you're supposed to take it in your mind. One of the reasons why some people who are doing parikrama would have been advised to take Lord's name in mind. Mantra no, it's not wrong. But there are... So for Ridan it's essential, he needs to get exposed to it. So for him it's fine. But if it's for your own self, it'd rather be inside. Reason being, it's an energy. When you say it out loud, the energy gets emitted. When you say it inside, the energy stays within. The only reason why certain mantras are recited out loud, like for example, when they did Swasti Vachan, it's for the externals, for the entire environment to become pious. But when they'll do Gayatri, they'll keep it inside. Because it's for them. So certain mantras you recite it out loud, certain you keep it inside for your own self. That's how the balance works. Now in Naudha Bhakti, there is no darshan. What Prahladji quotes, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atmanivedanam. Shravanam is to listen, Kirtanam is to recite, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam is to remember, Padasevanam is to serve the lotus feet of the Lord, Archanam is to do puja in the context of seva, Vandanam is to offer your pranams, Dasyam is to be to slave or to be a sevak, Sakhyam is to be a friend, and Atmanivedanam is complete surrender. There is no darshan in it. But why do you think seeking darshan of the Lord is important? Why do we talk about ISKCON? Or why do I talk about ISKCON? Yes. Because I think we... Okay, so let me put it this way. There are practices which they have made more famous, which are in Pushtimarg as well, but a lot of people are not aware of. And ISKCON is a parallel segment of a Vaishnava sect, like us. The primary difference being that we serve the Lord and take the Lord's name later, while they take the Lord's name prior to us. Not enough is spoken about Nimbark and Ramanuj, unfortunately. Nimbark Sampradaya and Ramanuj Sampradaya. They are also Vaishnava Sampradayas like us. South India and North India primarily have these two Sampradayas. But we don't have enough information about them. Or even if there is enough information about it, there is no enough comparison which is being done along with Vallabh Sampradaya. Like Ramanuj Sampradaya's philosophy has a lot of similarity to ours. Nimbark Sampradaya's philosophy also has a lot of similarity to ours. But the practices, no one is talking about it. And this is the gap that needs to be filled. That we need to understand all the four Vaishnava Sampradayas that we have. It's the Madhva, the Nimbarka, the Ramanuj, and the Vallabh. Once we do the comparative study, we'll be able to... We are not supposed to conclude anything, we're just supposed to cross-understand them. Hence, ISKCON becomes more familiar. They're all parallels, yeah. They're all parallels. The philosophies might be contradictory, but let me tell you one thing. In contradiction as well, there is harmony. We don't fight like bad blood between amongst each other. We're very harmonious in nature. Till that extent that the acharyas who have been propounding these scriptures, they have been cross-referencing each other as well. Like one of the biggest example of bhakta, you want to understand how bhakti is and you want to understand how devotees should be, you get to know from a Ramanuj Sampradaya Acharya, his name is Vedant Deshika Acharya. One fine day, people wanted to test this Vedant Deshika Acharya. Vedant Deshika Acharya had a morning routine of going to the river and taking a bath and coming back. Just to test him how is he as an Acharya, a garland of shoes was made and it was placed in a way that as soon as Vedant Deshika Acharya would open the door, the garland would actually fall in his throat or come down on his neck. To which, when this action happened, he wasn't angry. He claimed that until now, I was being protected by the Lord. But today onwards, Vayam tu Haridasanam pada raksha avalambakaha I am being protected, I am being dependent on the shoes of the devotees of that Lord. This is the ultimate level of tolerance which an Acharya can teach you. Now that's a Ramanuja Acharya was teaching you that. You take Vallabhacharya's example. Vallabhacharya was offered 7 plates of gold coins. He's like, I'm not having it. Vallabhacharya was offered all the gold which was done in his Kanka Abhishek. He didn't seek that either. Then finally, one fine plate of gold came to him as an offering, out of which he identified some 7 coins. He took those 7 coins and gave it to the king and said, you know what? There are 2 perspectives behind it. Either you offer it to the Vittalnath of Pandharpur, or you offer it to Srinathji of Jatipura. Back in the days he was in Jatipura. So both the parts of it are acceptable in the Pushtimarg. Now, who on this planet Earth would miss out on 100 kgs of or 50, 60 kgs of gold? But that's an Acharya. He shows you that he's a Tyagmurti. And as much as we talk about synchronization between these 2 sampradayas, you will be surprised to hear this. The Gaudiya Sampradaya Acharya, that's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Mahaprabhu Sri Vallabh had an interaction between them. And there's a sweet little debate which I think we should take it in tomorrow's session, because it includes a little about Bhagwan Nu Naam. Until now, Sri Thakurji is in Gokul, now he transits to Vrindavan. While going to Vrindavan, he starts slaying certain segment of Asur. Now the Lord is walking, hence he is also given the responsibilities of grazing the calves, not the cows, the calves. Calvs. I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing it correctly. He goes along with his friends, and in that entire zone there was this one calf which was not supposed to be a calf, had taken a form of a calf, was actually a Vatsasur. It was an Asur. So he identifies that Asur and kills it, and eventually, and further rather, gets to know that there's a Bakasur as well. Baka has 2 beaks and he tears them off. What do they represent? They represent greed and lies. So we might think that he's slaying demons. Actually, he's slaying certain segment of qualities of these demons at the same time. Then comes an Asur called as Aghasur, which is a snake. The snake is also killed by Sri Thakurji. Who is this snake? This snake represents sin, Papa. On certain days, we might have heard that Sri Thakurji does something called as Vana Leela. He does Chak Leela. What is Chak Leela? Sri Thakurji sits with his friends and has feast. It's also called as Vana Bhojan Leela. Tamari bhasha mein go to potluck. Potluck or pot lunch, whatever you call it, I don't know. You make things at your own house, then bring it over here. You all have it together. You share your food. So what has Thakurji done this time? Thakurji has his Venu and Vetra. Vetra is the stick. He has tied it on his waist, and everyone has got their food. Some have got fruits, some have got makhan, some have got dahi. And now Lord is distributing and having food with everyone. And one fine day, while the distribution of curd is happening, Lord is like, this is the best format of curd I've ever had in my life. And then everyone is like, Krushna is like, give it to us as well. Krushna is like, I don't have it anymore. But there's some left on my hand. You can lick it if you want to. Jin nahi khayo, suno re bhaiya, meri hatheli chaat, aaj dadi meetho madan gopal. Meetho Madan Gopal. What is Meetho? Not just Madan Gopal. The Dadi is also Meetho. The curd is also Meetho, along with the Madan Gopal. So he's requesting his friends. See, we casually eat from other people's hands, right? This is the same character which is being showcased by Shri Thakurji, but it's done out of innocence and love. It's the Bhagavad Prasadi that is being offered to others. Now Brahmaji has a question that if he's the Lord of the world, why is he doing something like this? Why is he sharing food like this? Let's do one thing, let's abduct them all. So Brahmaji abducts everyone, and Krishna realizes Brahma has not done the right thing. The reason why Brahmaji has to abduct these cowherds, Gopa Balak, and the cows, while Bhagavan Shri Krishna was born, everyone in the Vraj had this one feeling, can Krishna become our kid? Can Krishna become our child? Can we have Krishna as our baby? Can he become our spring? And just because the mothers of the calves, that's the cows, the mothers of these cowherds, they wanted Krishna as a child, Krishna takes the form of all of these. He clones himself in the form of all the calves, all the cows, all the children, and he stays with them for 1 year. You want to know cloning? Takes 6 crore rupees to make a clone. Imagine the number of clones Thakurji might have made at that given point of time. Brahmaji comes out of here, how are they back? I took them. Brahma realizes his mistake. Brahma comes down. Brahma eventually extols the Lord. Naumidyate brahupushe tadidambaraya. How are you, Lord? You are dharofying a gunja. Gunja mala. Without gunja, no shringar is complete. And on Janmashtami, not 1, 2 gunjas are offered. During the 40 days of Vasant, 2 gunjas are offered every day. Nathdwara, Srinathji, 40 days new gunja malas are offered every day. Why so? કારણ કે ખેલાવ્યા હોય ને તો રંગ રહી જાય એના માટે. અને ગુંજા શેનાથી બન્યું છે? નેચરલ એલિમેન્ટ. બધાને ધર્મમાં વેસ્ટેજ બહુ થાય છે એનું ક્વેશ્ચન માર્ક હોય છે. પુષ્ટિમાર્ગનું મેક્સિમમ management is all natural. You technically don't need even utensils to serve Lord. You can offer it in dona and panna and that patra. That's it. How are they having one bhojan? Kadamba vriksha ke leaves, pan. Chak khata bansi vat. Chak is done at the bansi vat. How? With the chak leaves. Gunja is being offered to Lord. Without gunja, no shringar is complete. Just like how without anjan, a stri's shringar is not complete. Without gunja, Shri Thakurji's shringar is not complete. Because this gunja mala has Shri Swaminiji's bhav in it. So Brahmaji is forgiven by the Lord. And this is one verse we all will recite together in the glory of Shri Lord. Aho Aho bhagyam, aho bhagyam. Nanda gopa vrajokasam. Yan mitram paramanandam. Purnam Brahma Sanatanam. Aho Bhagyam, O destiny. There is no limit to your fortune. Yan Mitram Paramanandam. Ananda. Ananda is bliss. The ultimate Ananda is Paramananda. Who are you? Purna Brahma, someone who's complete. And along with that, who are you? You are Sanatan. You never have a start and you never end an end. You are eternal. That's what Brahmaji is extolling the Lord. Eventually, until now, Shri Thakurji was grazing with calves. Now he starts grazing with cows. Prathama Gocharan Chaleri Gopal. On the day of Gopashtami is when Shri Thakurji goes for his first grazing with the cows. What is the Lord adorning at that given point of time? Mukut Kachni. Sure. So, while Brahmaji was trying to claim that he is the only Brahma of this universe, and Lord wanted to make Brahma understand that you are not the only Brahma, and this is not the only universe that I've made. Just because your NASA cannot find the other universes, it's actually a multiverse. Your metaverse has come now. It has been multiverse even since then, because when Brahma started extolling the Lord, even prior to that, Brahma was showcased how many other Brahmas are there over here. Now Brahma was surrounded by multiple Brahmas who were actually doing the service of the Lord. It's like a G20, all the leaders of the world are at one place. The only difference is the G20 of Lord, so there were only Brahmas in one place. Because Brahma is the responsible one for creating the universe. As much as Lord loves devotees, Lord also loves cows. And Lord is someone who takes care of the cows as well. Then comes the time wherein Lord was playing a sport. The ball goes away in the water. And Lord is responsible for getting the ball back. This is what you have seen in serials. But the real reason was to actually bless the Kaliya Nag Patni and to slay down Kaliya Nag. And that's what you are seeing now. Jada kamad chandi jane bada, Swami hamaro jagshe. Jagshe tane marashe mane bada hatya lakshe. Narsayana Nathne Nage Nagar छोड़ा नाथी नागन छोड़ा नाग छोड़ा. There's a singer called Bhaumik Shah. You can YouTube him whenever you can. He has sung this Jad Kamar Chandi Jane Bada very sweetly. Doesn't have the old method of singing. Has a newer format. Has played a guitar, has played a piano. It's a fine tune of listening. Someone needs caffeine. But yeah, that's where Kaliya Nag Daman takes place. And Nag Patnis are also extolling the Lord. The Lord has fire, Lord kills Pralamb, Lord eats fire again. All the 5 forms of avidya have been mentioned over here. The autumn season steps in and the Lord starts eventually playing his flute. The verse that we keep on reciting, Barha Pidam Natavarava Pukkarane Ukkaranikaram. What is the Lord adorned with? More pitch. How is he? Natta. Why is he called Natta? On one side there is Nataraj. When Nataraj dances, Tandav happens. But something which is beyond the Tandav as well is where Natavar comes in. What is he wearing? He's wearing a yellow color dhoti. A lot of you might have done Srinathji's darshan and you might have realized that there's a snake on him. It's not actually a snake, it's Vaijayanti Mala. Sri Thakurji accepts the love of the gopis who have gone for taking a bath. Lord accepts the love of the wife of various Brahmins. While Lord plays the flute, Venu Geet is sung. Venu, something that can make you forget the world, something that can ensure that you are attracted, something that can ensure that you forget everything else and just get submerged to the fine tune of Lord. ऐसी बंसी बाजी बन घन में व्यापक महामुनिन की समाधि लागी किनकी महामुनियन की ऐसी बंसी बाजी. And when Lord plays the bansi, the Kirtanya sing Bhayo Brahmanad. What happens because of the Brahmanad? Ahlad, that's bliss. So whenever there's a Venunad, A, you get disconnected, B, you get focused, C, you get surrendered, D, you start feeling joyous. Process check. Disconnection, connection, submission, bliss. That's what Venu can do for you. When Bhagavan Shri Krishna with his friends go to Brahmins and ask for food, they don't get it. Who can give you? A wife can feed you, a mother can feed you, a sister can feed you. And that's why they go to the wives of the Brahmins and they ask for food. And they get the food. The same food which is being prepared for Sri Thakurji for the yagna, the Brahmins feel happy that something that we couldn't understand, our wives have understood it. જે યજ્ઞમાં અમે તૈયારી કર્યા હતા ભગવાન માટેની એ યજ્ઞના યજ્ઞેશ તો મળ્યા અમારા પત્નીઓને. Sri Thakurji is gracing the wives of Brahmins. And now comes the time wherein Sri Thakurji plays his logical card. He contemplates and explains you the theory of karma. Why? Because the time has come wherein the Vrajvasis wanted to do something called as an Indra Yaga, a sacrifice for Indra. And Bhagwan Shri Krishna is like, don't do this. Why? Because I need to explain you the theory of karma. Karmana jayate jantuhu karmanaiva praliyate. All your happiness, distress, fear and sense of security, all are the cause and effects of karma at the end of the day. You do good things, you feel good. You do bad things, you feel bad. Somewhere, even if it is stuck under your conscience now that you are not you are hiding it or you are suppressing it, let me tell you one thing, it's going to spring out someday. And you won't know how to express it. Please keep your karma clean. Please keep your karma clean. Let's just say if you are externally very strong, you're doing right deeds externally, but if your mind is unclean, let me tell you one thing, you're binding karma for your own self. Karma is not just merely done out of action with your hands. Your observation about someone in a negative way is also karma. You're having a perception about someone in a negative way which beholds certain segment of emotions in you is also karma. You having infatuation for a deer just like Bharat is also a karma. You feeding someone is also a karma. You not feeding someone is also karma. With your clear conscience as much as you can, please keep your karma clean because these karma can take you places. And that's how this entire thought process is being explained to all the Vrajvasis. Vrajvasis are like, Indra gives us rains. Lord explains them. There are trees in Govardhan. Trees are responsible for the entire evaporation process. That's why you're getting rain. They feel Indra gives you food. Govardhan has enough fruits and enough trees because of which you're getting fruits, you're getting food because of them. Oh, but Indra gives us grass. No, Govardhan has enough places because of which the cows can go and graze out there. That's why you should be focusing on Govardhan. So, okay, fine, Krushna, why don't you guide us? How are we supposed to do this Vaishnava Yaga? Gosav Yaga. 7 varas ko savro, 7-year-old kid is trying to have a conversation, is negotiating with the entire Vrajvasis by keeping his father in front because, of course, Nandasya Vraj, right? Vrajna Raja to Nandraiji. Of course, Nandraiji needs to be convinced. Vanaspatis are Vaishnavas. Where does the Vishnu reside? In the Brahmins, in the cows, in the Govardhan. And in order to instate faith of these Vrajvasis, of the Gops and the Gopikas, and all the other people in the Vraj, Lord decides, you know what, we'll do Govardhan Puja. Fine. How are we supposed to do the Govardhan Puja? We'll organize something called as Annakuta. So there's Govardhan Puja happening. Govardhan as a Shila is being worshipped. Mansi Ganga ka jal is being utilized to do the Abhishek. For all those people who might have gone to Jatipura, you might have offered milk to Girirajji as a part of Abhishek. Mansi Ganga is being utilized to offer the Abhishek. You do the tilak of Shri Girirajji. But the question is, why are you doing tilak of Shri Girirajji? And that's when you need to know that the Giriraj, the form of Giriraj, has been taken by Bhagwan Shri Krishna itself. Bhagwane Giriraj nu swarup dharan kariyu. So you're not just praying Girirajji because he is Girirajji. Girirajji has also been the form of Bhagwan Shri. Bhagwan Shri Krishna has been the form of Giriraj. Then comes the entire process of Annakut. Dudgar Samagri first, Ansakdi second. Goes on with Nagari and Sakdi at the last. Rasad on the other side. Rasad refers to your raitas and sandhanas and all of that. Sandhanas are your pickles. Dudgar is all your barfi, penda, etc. Ansakdi is all your sev, gunja. Then comes a layer of bujena, which is your bhajiyas, which marks the territory between Sakdi and the Ansakdi Samagri. Ansakdi Samagri is your dal, your sabzis, your sakdi, your rice, which is being offered at the center. Papad. I can go on and on when it comes to Govardhan Leela. If I'm in mood tomorrow, I'll explain to you the entire process of Annakut as well. I'll get instructions, accordingly I'll go about it. And then the Annakut is being offered. And for how long duration is the Annakut being offered? So the Annakut is going to be offered till the time we do Girirajji ka parikrama. Now, without going to Vraj, just by sitting over here, we are supposed to do Girirajji's Mansi parikrama. Mansi, that means we are supposed to do it in the mind. Now, are you all with me? Yes. But it requires a little efforts from your side. That means we might say something over here and you might have to say something in return. I'm making you speak after 3 hours. I can be a little, I can be in a space where I can ask something from you, right? Don't worry, I'm not asking your properties. You can keep it with yourself. All I'm asking you to is take the Lord's name, that's it. Okay, so we had planned something, but I think Lord's wishes to go in a different direction. We will sing Giriraj Dharana, Shriji, Tihare Sharana. Tihare. Not say Tumare, we'll say Tihare. Tihare is a polished way of Aapke. Yeah? So Giriraj Dharana, Shriji Tihare Sharana, Vallabha Tihare Sharana, Vitthal Tihare Sharana. Giriraj Dharana, Shriji Tihare Sharan. Very good. So the first thing is we will come to Shri Mukharvind. This is the first place where Shri Giriraj Ji is there. So we do Dandavat Pranam to Shri Giriraj Ji. And on the opposite side, we have Shri Mahaprabhu Ji's Bethak Ji. Right? So there's Shri Mahaprabhu Ji's Bethak Ji. We do Dandavat Pranam to Shri Mahaprabhu Ji's Bethak Ji. And then we start singing. Giriraj Dharana. गिरिराज धरण श्रीजी तिहारे शरण वल्लभ तिहारे शरण तिहारे शरण वल्लभ तिहारे गिरिराज धरण श्रीजी तिहारे शरण गिरिराज धरण श्रीजी तिहारे वल्लभ तिहारे शरण विठ्ठल तिहारे शरण वल्लभ
तिहारे शरण विठ्ठल तिहारे शरण
गिरिराज धरण श्रीजी तिहारे शरण Shriji Tihare Sharana. This is the Dandvati Sheela of Shri Govardhan. We'll do Dandvat Pranam to that. And since we don't unnecessarily go on the top where Srinathji's Mandir is there, but behind the story of Srinathji's Mandir is there was a Vaishnava called Puranmal Kshatriya who used to live in Ambala. He had a lot of wealth and Srinathji gave him the Agnya, gave him the permission to go to Shri Mahaprabhuji, get a map made and get a mandir made on the top of Shri Govardhan. It was apparently being destroyed by the then Mughal emperor, and eventually it was reconstructed certain segment of years ago. So we'll remember the Srinathji's mandir which is there on Shri Govardhan. We're talking about the town of Shri Jatipura. Yatipura. Yatiji Maharaj is Pura, that is why it is called Jatipura. And we'll be just singing again Giriraj Dharan, and then we'll be moving ahead with the other places. Giriraj Dharan Shriji Tihare Sharana.
गिरिराज धरण श्रीजी तिहारे शरण
Vallabh Tihare Sharana Vittal Tihare Sharana.
वल्लभ तिहारे शरण विठ्ठल तिहारे शरण
Giriraj Dharan Shriji Tihare Sharana.
रण गिरिराज धरण श्रीजी तिहार शरण.
Moving forward comes the Bilchu Kund. This is the place where Shri Mahaprabhu Ji and Shri Krishna Das Ji's Bethak Ji's are there. Before we go to Dan Ghati, this is the space where it comes before. Apparently this place is still under construction, that's why it's not looking in the right shape. Then comes the Janajan Vruksha. Unfortunately, this is also a little underrated as a space. Moving forward comes a place which is called Dan Ghati, where Shri Thakurji has done Dan Leela. It's a Maryada Mandir which has been established. Also, in Vraj, there are a lot of places where Shri Mahadevji's temples are also there. Mahadevji has been a crucial part of Pushti as well. Mahadevji is a Param Vaishnava himself. So on the way, while we do the parikrama, we also come across something called as Shri Chakleshwar Mahadevji. Moving ahead, there is the Mahaprabhuji's Bethakji in the nearby area, in Chakleshwar Mahadev itself. And then we come to a place where Mansi Ganga comes into the picture. This is the same kund where Gangaji was extolled and brought for. And the water of this kund is utilized in Girirajji's pujan. If you are supposed to do Girirajji's pujan, Govardhan pujan, you should technically take Mansi Ganga's water. And while we reach Mansi Ganga, I'm sure you might have been a little tired. So there's an underrated spot called Chuttar Teka. This is the place where Vrajvasis claim that Gopijan back in the days had taken rest. So while we are taking the rest, we'll recite the Lord's name and then we'll move forward. Giriraj Dharana Shri Jiti Hare Sharana.
गिरिराज धरण श्री जी तिहारे शरण.
I think you want to sing a different song, so we'll sing a different dhun right now. We'll sing Vallabh Vitthal Giridhari and you are supposed to say Yamuna Ji ki Balihari. Vallabh Vitthal Giridhari Yamuna Ji ki Balihari.
श्री वल्लभ विठ्ठल गिरधारे यमुना जी की बलिहारी.
Shri Vallabh Vitthal Giridhari Yamuna Ji ki Balihari.
श्री वल्लभ विठ्ठल गिरधारे यमुना जी की बलिहारी.
Balihari Shri Balihari Yamuna Ji ki Balihari.
बलिहारी श्री बलिहारी यमुना जी की बलिहारी.
Shri Vallabh Vitthal Giridhari Yamuna Ji ki Balihari.
श्री वल्लभ विठ्ठल गिरधारे यमुना जी की बलिहारी.
Shri Vallabh Vitthal Giridhari Yamuna Ji ki Balihari.
श्री वल्लभ विठ्ठल गिरधारे यमुना जी की बलिहारी.
Shyam Sundar Shri Amne
महारानी जी की जय.
Then comes the place which is called Uddhav Kund. Primarily this location has been developed by ISKCON, but Uddhav ji had resided over here. The kund is named after him. As much as if you can drink the water of this kund, you can. If not, you should at least sprinkle some water on yourself. Then comes a combination of a kund which is called Shri Radha Kund. The place, the kund was being made for Shri Radhika ji. Radha Krishna Kund also has Shri Mahaprabhu ji's Sandhya Vandan ke Bethak ji. This place also has the Bethak ji of Shri Gosai ji, Shri Gokulnath ji. At the same time, all the Bethak jis are put together. This is how it really looks like. This is Shri Mahaprabhu ji's Bethak ji, Sandhya Vandan Bethak ji. Then there's Shri Giriraj ji's Bethak ji. There is Shri Gosai ji's Bethak ji. And there is Shri Gokulnath ji, which is the fourth Lal of Shri Gosai ji. His Bethak ji is also there. Post which comes a Krishna Kund which was being developed for Shri Thakur ji. And then comes the place which is known as the Radha and Krishna Kund came together, and that's why they are called as Radha Krishna Kund. It's a Sangam's place. Then comes the World Heritage Site which is also known as Kusum Sarovar. The father was fortunate enough to do Katha over here because Shri Kul Chandrama ji had come and ascended at Kusum Sarovar. Post with Narad ji also has his own kul, which is called Shri Narad Kund. Then comes the place, Mansi Ganga is coming again, and then we'll move on to Dangati. Why? Because we are supposed to go to Chandra Sarovar. Chandra Sarovar is the place, Parasoli, where the Ras has taken place. The Ras of Shri Thakur ji, which will happen tomorrow, has taken place at this place. Chandra Sarovar also happens to be the place, Parasoli, where Shri Gosai ji had spent 6 months away from Srinath ji. And that's why there's a Bethak ji, primarily of Shri Gosai ji, because this is considered to be Viraha ki Bethak ji. Staying 6 months away from Shri Srinath ji and at the same time writing letters to him. This place also is considered to have a Sur Kuti where Surdas ji used to speak. So that's there. Surdas ji's Golok Dham has happened from this place. And a very underrated place is this Cooper, the well. Unfortunately, it's not maintained. But it is said that Shri Swamini ji was thirsty and Lord had made this well for him. How did he make it? He utilized his own Venu, his own flute. So, I hope it's revising a lot of you guys that you might have been to Vraj. You might have seen all these places, but you have no idea what they really stand for. There's Shri Mahaprabhu ji's Bethak ji again. And then while we recite Lord's name, we'll go to the place where we shall keep it as a surprise. So we'll take Lord's name and then we'll reach there. Shri Vallabha Vitthal Giridhari Yamuna Ji Ki Balihari.
Shri Vallabha Vitthal Giridhari Yamuna Ji Ki Balihari.
Balihari Shri Balihari Shri Yamuna Ji Ki Balihari.
Balihari Shri Balihari Yamuna Ji Ki Balihari.
Balihari ho Balihari Shri Yamuna Ji Ki Balihari.
Balihari ho Balihari Yamuna Ji Ki Balihari.
Shri Vallabha Vitthal Giridhari Yamuna Ji Ki Balihari.
Shri Vallabha Vitthal Giridhari Yamuna Ji Ki Balihari.
Shri Vallabhadhish Ki Jai. Comes the place where Sadhu Pandey was there, and eventually Shri Mahaprabhuji's Bethak Ji comes. The place is called Anyor, Sadhu Pandey's Bethak Ji, and this is where Srinath Ji was residing. Post which comes a kund which is called Sankarshan Kund. Kumbhandas Ji's place is considered to be over here. This is the Sankarshan Swarup which you can seek the darshan. And there's a beautiful kund which has been made recently. Post which we come to Govind Kund, and this is where Shri Mahaprabhu Vallabhacharya Ji's Bethak Ji is there. Now you might have heard this term Bethak Ji again and again. Let me clarify what it really stands for. Any place where Shri Mahaprabhu Ji might have resided for a while and engaged in either Shrimad Bhagwat Ji's Parayan, Ved Parayan or Puran Parayan. At certain places he has studied Ramayana, at certain places he has studied Ved, at certain places he has recited Bhagwatam. Some places he might have stayed for 7 days, some places he might have stayed for 3 days, some places he might have stayed for 1 day. It doesn't matter for how long he stays. A lot of archaeological research is done, survey is done, carbon footprint is checked, carbon age is checked, and after that, after a lot of consultancy from the localites and everyone, these Bethakjis have either been found or made or established. Places where they were existing, sometimes Vallabhacharya's Agnya might have happened to a Vaishnava in the Swapna, and that's how these places are identified. If that's not the case, then at least archaeological survey has been utilized. So Vraj is fortunate enough to have its own Bethakjis present, but certain places in south, like there are 4 places in south where the Bethakjis never existed. But because of the archaeological help, they identify 4 those places, and they are now establishing Bethakjis over there. So these are considered to be holy seats, but holy seats is not a good translation for Bethaks. People have a habit of doing Jari Charan Sparsh of Shri Acharya Charan over here. My recommendation would be to also do a Sarvottam Sutra part there. That's how we can remember the 108 names of Shri Mahaprabhuji. And that will be our format of Bhakti for him. Moving forward comes the Govind Kund. This is the place where Indra will ask for Kshama, which we'll know about tomorrow. Then there's the Apsara Kund, where again Chittaswami, Shri Gosaiji's Sevak Chittaswami has been there. Also comes Shri Daoji Ka Mandir, Puchri Ko Lotho. We're now entering towards the end part of it. Then comes Surbhi Kund. Surbhi Kund is where Mukharvin Ji is there. Surbhi Kund also has Shri Giriraj Ji's Mukharvin. Mind you, most of these pictures have been taken by my father or Yogesh Bhai, who has accompanied him most of the places. So these are not internet stolen pictures, my friends. A lot of efforts has been put. A lot of conversation has also taken place with the localites just to convince them that the taking the pictures not for utilization or commercialization. It's actually being utilized just to showcase you all that why and how we can do a Girirajji Parikrama. And Surbhi Kund being our last spot, post which we'll come back to Mukharvin, and that's how our Girirajji's Parikrama will conclude. We'll say Shri Giriraj Dharan Ki Jai. And now, while Shri Thakurji's Aarti and everything will take place in the Annakut space, we'll wait for Indra to come tomorrow. Or we can call Indra right now as well, and the rains can start. And tomorrow onwards, Shri Thakurji can actually take up the Govardhan Parvat. Before I conclude my session today, I'm going to leave you with a question which will start tomorrow. In which hand Shri Thakurji had raised the Govardhan Parvat? The question stays with you. The answer will come from me tomorrow. Having said this, we'll recite Shri Thakurji's name and call it a day. Shri Govardhan Nath ki jai, Shri Gokul Nath ki jai, Shyam Sundar Shri Amne Maharani ji ki jai, Shri Vallabhadhish ki jai, Shri Gosai ji Paramadayal ki jai, Aaj ke Anand ki jai. Manurati family can come for puja, Brahmins can make the arrangements for it.